Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover.
It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
All right, the crossover is brought to you by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. Our boy survived the big city. He's back.
Yeah.
How was the concrete jungle?
Oh, it was lovely. It's where dreams are made.
Oh, I was going to say Wet Dream Tomato.
Whoa.
That's the song. That's
Hey,
the song.
by the way,
Welcome to New York, Creighton.
Bing bong.
Welcome to New York. Go back home.
Ricky forever.
Wherever
Forever.
you're from.
Did it get a little uncomfortable on Saturday night once that game flipped?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm in a potentially dangerous environment.
So
there are so
I
many drunk people.
I saw your picture pregame. For the championship, were you down on the floor?
All right. So,
or did you just bounce around from seat to seat?
You're answering this as if like this was a contentious question. Like everyone was wondering where you were sitting.
So I had a seat down there.
Yeah.
But my pass that they gave me at the beginning of the week only it said my seat was upstairs where John was. And so I went to my seat on the championship day. I'm like, my seat's right here. And they were like, no, I don't care. I'm like, I'm trying to explain to you, my seat is right there. It has my name on it and everything. They're like, nope, you got to go upstairs. And so I snuck in and I sat there for the first half. And then I went to the bathroom and I came back. They were like, you can't be here anymore. And so then I got the right at the end. I got the pass that I needed to be where I was at the end of the game. So,
but your name was on the seat.
I know they don't care. You know how many people?
If you're a St. John's writer, they would have been okay with it.
They threw Charles Oakley out.
They have. I met the guy who threw Charles Oakley out. I don't know.
Does it say it on his name tag?
Yeah, I was about to say. Does he go around parading?
I was talking to the St. John's president. He's like, you see that guy right there? That was the guy who threw out Charles Oakley. And I'm like, whoa, nice. I don't want to mess with that guy. They'll come out in the media timeouts. There's 300 people lining the floor. How many people that work in that building? It's like the population of Omaha.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Can you we only have one life on this earth, and we have a lot of things that we do while on this ground. And can you imagine just all of those years of life, all those opportunities, and you're just known as forever as the dude who threw out Charles Oakley?
I don't think he's got a problem with it.
Yeah, maybe does he wear it around? He probably got a T-shirt. Did I do that?
I'd say it's a badge of honor. It's a badge of honor. There was many people who threw out Charles Oakley.
But when you were doing your video on Friday, you had great access. No one stopped you.
No.
You could go wherever you wanted in the garden.
Yeah, nobody messed with me until Sunday or Saturday.
Until it was nut cutting time. No one really gave a damn about Creighton.
And now, there's an element of like, if you're just walking around and you look like you know where you're going, nobody's gonna do it. You know where you're going. It's like, yeah. I got it.
Did you get to ride the freight elevator up?
Not the famous freight elevator. That leads to the locker room that Creighton had on Friday night. It's right. They had the same locker room on Friday and Saturday night, so it was right there. But I didn't go on that
because it's such a strange place for people that have not been there.
Oh, it's out of it doesn't make any sense.
You walk in and the floor is right there. No.
You have to go up to the floor.
And then there is a walkway where the buses come in. You either get on the freight elevator or ramp up. Yeah, or there's a huge ramp that you walk all the way up.
Even after you enter the garden, you have to walk.
Because Penn Station is below Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
So when you enter, you're ground level. You're on the first floor, but the floor is on the 5th floor.
Yeah.
Wow. I did not know that. I had no clue.
From the outside, you wouldn't think it's as giant as it is.
Not in the slightest, and especially when it's like, hey, this is one of the smaller stadiums, period, in pro sports. Like I've thought what you saw on the outside, like, this checks out when you look at the pictures and whatnot, because I've never been to New York.
There's a lot going on in there.
Yeah, that's cool.
A lot going on.
Were you just kind of a kid in the candy store for a couple of days, just walking around that historic venue?
I told Josh this. Like I'm the kind of person who has to kind of know. I got to know where I am, and I got to know where to be and stuff like that. Like directional. I have to just know my surroundings.
You got to know where north, south, east.
So I was going to spend the first day, just kind of figuring all that out, but never really got comfortable. Never really got comfortable.
Why is that? Was it just a lot of New York people, or
there's certain elevators that work and don't work, and stairwells where you can't get through and you're banging on doors and you're like, hey, you got to take the elevator. I'm like, I don't think so. That elevator is a 20-minute wait to get on it. Yeah, a lot of security, a lot of people just stopping you wherever you're at and looking at you. But we figured it out.
There's a lot of people with too much authority in that building.
No doubt. No doubt
That's
about
what
it.
I'm hearing.
But it's good. Security's good.
good.
Saturday night, did you ever feel like a Creighton fan was being threatened?
Like,
Because it got pretty on TV. You could hear the tone of the building.
It got crazy.
and I watched some. I watched some of it back, and especially in the moment, like when they hit their huge run, did not do it justice on how just unhinged it was. I mean, it was the craziest sports environment that I've ever been in.
Really?
Yeah.
Even more so than you think Colorado, Nebraska this year?
Yeah, think
Yeah.
think that.
But indoors.
Indoors
Shoot.
and New Yorkers.
Yeah.
And drunk.
Yeah.
Indoors and drunk New Yorkers.
Cost of a beer at the Big East tournament?
I think it was $17.50.
Oh, are we? Wait. Are we 24 ounce or are we? Because some people get. Was it a 12 or 24 ounce?
I made a note of it one time. Yeah, just like they're sketchy on like if they're going to actually give you the prices, But we looked once. I think it was over $17.
Welcome to New York City.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that's the thing. Everybody freaks out about Wrigley beer, but Wrigley beer it's $20 for a beer at Wrigley, but it's a 24 ounce pour. So you get it's one beer for $10 essentially.
Yeah, I mean it was.
If it's $17.50 and it's 24 ounces, that's actually not bad at all.
Yeah, I mean you just deal with it. I'm only there for 3 days, so
Yeah, it seems like you had a great time.
I didn't buy a beer until the final night, and that wasn't that bad. There's a couple little restaurants inside the hotel that I was staying at, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy a beer, and I did.
Hell yeah,
Have a New York beer.
A New York beer. Yeah, it was.
Is that just red wine?
It was something. Bronx Beer or something like that. I can't remember.
Was it brewed with the water from New York? It's better water.
Yeah, I heard about
Straight from the Hudson.
Yeah.
So would you say that Creighton has softened up St. John, so Omaha will be fine at 9:45
Absolutely.
Providence time on Thursday?
Absolutely. And I don't know, maybe there's some Providence fans or UConn fans who are in the area and who would like to cheer against St. John's. Same thing for Creighton and Lexington. Maybe there's some Kentucky fans in the building who are like, I don't want to see Louisville win.
I heard they bought the price of tickets up for that arena.
Love it. I don't know.
Well,
it's a tough one.
I mean,
That's a tough one.
I'm sure people in Wichita were like, dang, we missed out on Omaha and Creighton.
Yeah.
Because if both go there, that building, I mean, you're going to have no problem putting that amount of
What did
people in
Wichita get?
Oh, good
So
question.
they got Houston.
Yeah.
So like Wichita does not get Oklahoma, right? And they don't get Kansas, but they have Houston. Don't they have Texas Tech?
Let me see.
Tobin Anderson just got let go from Iona.
Oh, man.
Just reported right now. Pete bomb.
Pete tweet.
Hey, that's when life comes at you fast. It was what, 3 or 4 years ago?
3,
Purdue.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
FDU beat Purdue and he got the job at Iona.
Yeah, 3 years ago. Good Lord.
Why is it so hard to find that? I want a bracket. If somebody can link me a bracket with locations and times and TV,
Do you not have it?
that'd be awesome. That gives you just the teams. That's the.
But if we know
official-
that Houston's there, right? I mean, it's
yeah, but then there's another side of the bracket.
Yeah, I know, but I can read.
Okay,
find the Houston.
so Gonzaga, Georgia, Houston, SIU, Edwardsville, Missouri, Drake,
that's good.
Texas Tech, NC Wilmington.
Yeah,
Missouri, Texas Tech.
that it's interesting.
Yeah, but I
looking,
don't know that people from Lubbock are going to come all the way to Wichita.
it's a little interesting. Like, the top part of the bracket is really heavy, right?
here we go. I
Like
found
you're
one,
going to
actually.
get a lot of Final Fours with mainly 3 1s or 2 1s, and if it's 2 1s, you have other like 2 2s, right? But some of these 8 seed matchups are actually like Auburn has to play Louisville. Like that's a pretty tough game for Auburn. Like,
Does Auburn have to play
or
Louisville?
Creighton, Louisville or Creighton? Either or, Louisville or Creighton. That's a tough matchup, right?
Mhm.
Like UConn, if they end up playing Florida, like that's not a shoo-in for Florida. Same thing on like the upper side of the bracket. Like Baylor has been at times pretty good this year. They got a top 5 pick over there. And then Houston's got to play Gonzaga or Georgia. But Zags are going to be favored in that game. Like those aren't like, for how much we're saying, oh my God, it's top heavy, it's top heavy, it's top heavy. Like these aren't easy matchups on a 1-8 round of 32.
A lot of potential 12-5s as there is every year.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Gonzaga's like, I was seeing betting odds that they were like 8th or 9th best or 10th or 11th best or something like that.
Well, the metrics love the Zags.
They do. What were they before selection show? Top 10 in Ken Palm or something like that?
Well, I don't think they're that high in Ken Palm, but I think in the net they were like almost that high. But yeah, okay, so Michigan is a 2.5-point favorite against UC San Diego. These are 12-5 games. Memphis is a 5 and a 2.5-point underdog.
Zaga is 9 on Ken Palm.
9?
Mhm.
They are 9.
Yeah, there you go. You're right.
And Louisville is one of the 12 teams that hit that Ken Palm national championship quota.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they're an 8 seed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The 8s and 9s.
It's a crap bracket.
It's interesting. It's a crap bracket.
Crap bracket.
No.
That's what people are saying.
Yeah.
I mean, you've already
Mavs
cashed
are in,
it.
though.
Mavs are in.
Mavs are in.
Mavs are in. Makes
March
it
Madness.
March Madness.
Look at that. I like that.
Who do you want, Kansas or Arkansas in round 2?
You know what? I would take KU. Why not?
Yeah.
KU Omaha?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But look at the
I would like to
Providence pod on the coaches that are there. Self Calipari Patino jump out right away.
uh-huh.
But then you have Painter, you have Alan Huss, you have Brad Brownell,
Yeah.
you have Will Wade is there as well.
Yeah.
And then Chris Crutchfield.
Look at that. That is
And then you have a
so that's what I should do. I should write the locations down on this bracket.
You should.
Okay.
But there'll be a lot of people that would love to have the Calipari Patino next round.
Oh my
matchup.
God, I want Crutchfield to spoil that so badly.
Or Self and Patino.
Yeah, I think there's probably more the connection with Calipari,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it would be two legends of the game
Mm-hmm.
that'd be going against each other. And I think it might surprise even KU fans if they beat Arkansas.
Yeah.
I would see
We're talking about a fan base that hates their team.
if Omaha were to upset St. John's, I actually would want to see them play Arkansas just because Arkansas has that guy Adu, and I would love to see him or Adu play against Markel Sutton. That would be an awesome one-on-one match. Just those two dudes that's in the paint. I mean, that'd be sick.
The winner of that game gets to have Markel Sutton next year.
Yeah, maybe.
Dang.
Yeah, it's a bracket. It's a bracket.
Oh, it is a bracket.
Many are saying.
It is a
Many are
bracket.
saying. Poll question: is it a bracket?
It's a bracket.
I think the crown bracket is easier to figure out because they're all in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So what do you got? 9:45 Eastern?
That's right.
Oh,
Ridiculous.
Okay,
God.
so this is we were speculating because we're trying to figure out when to leave or when the NCAA will let us leave. So it's between 8 and noon tomorrow. That's our window. Like you don't they've just told
Oh,
guys.
you can't just get there whenever you feel it's
No.
Oh,
This is
advantageous
all
for your-
NCAA.
Mhm.
No, it's a cable company.
But we're either going to leave at 8 or we're going to leave at noon. We're not sure yet. So it's like come prepared.
Yeah, because they have to get in. They have to have teams arrive at staggered out so they can have
I guess
all
that
the
makes sense.
all the
But-
content when they land and
So,
whatever.
but once it became St. John's Omaha,
Police escorts.
we were trying to figure out start times. And one of the guys that's on the basketball staff who's been in the tournament many times, he said they try and give the 1s and 2s as much rest as possible. And they get you in and out of there. Like, for example, let's say that Creighton loses. Creighton could be back in Omaha before Omaha tips off on Thursday.
They
night.
100%
That
would
is
be.
Yeah.
I've
wild.
heard this.
Yeah, because they don't want any trouble. They
Yeah.
they get you in and out.
They absolutely
Now
would
are
be.
you?
And Creighton would have no problem.
Would you guys, regardless of result, would you end up sleeping over in Providence
I
because
have
you're going to
no
end
idea.
so late? Because that
I've-
would be brutal to have your season end, and in some cases, like guys' careers of playing basketball are
Well,
like kind of over,
I mean,
and then
it's-
you've got to hop on a plane to
It's
get back to
a
Omaha.
charter though, so like they'll.
Yeah,
I
whenever-
imagine you'll be coming back that night.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so we were thinking, okay, we're going to be the first game of the day. Like we're going to be the first. We're the last team in, going to be the first game. And so last night when it came out that we're playing a 9:45 local, I was like, ugh. But so you remember when Creighton, because I was at the one in Philadelphia with FGCU, when Creighton got beat on that Sunday night, got beat by Duke.
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 Yes.
So they left afterwards and they got back to Omaha like at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So the NCAA wants to get you out as right when you're done. Boom, you go back to the hotel, you check out, and you're on the plane, and you're back to your home city.
You probably will come home that night if you guys end up losing.
How many times have you been police escorted in your life?
That's cool.
only when I would take trips with the twins.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've never been. Have you ever been police escorted?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, you're a very
kinda
important person.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Wow. Okay. Look at me trying to mend the
So
bridge.
you get
be
the,
nice to you.
you get the
know,
poli-
this
you
is
get
why
the
we have a
police
rivalry.
escort.
Shut up, Matt. I'm
Yeah,
not important.
That's ridiculous.
You get the
know?
police escort to the airport from here, right?
Yeah.
And then you get when you land in Providence.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I like this.
Yep. Indeed.
Like, do you think Creighton feels like they get shunned because from the Creighton campus to the airport is like 3-4 minutes?
it's
Do you
awesome.
think the
Incredible
police,
convenience.
the police escort is like, do you guys really need it? Like, isn't it a little obnoxious? Like, can't you all just meet each other there? Like, just carpool. Hey, just hop in
They got a
Copper's
great
van.
parking lot at TAC Air over there.
Hey, didn't Ashworth get an SUV for his kid? How about you guys just hop in that car and you go over?
No, everybody on the bus. God, Houston is a 28.5-point
They
favorite.
leave it to Ashworth. He's got to like carpool people back and forth and just got to keep. We only got one car.
Let's see. Of the 1s and 2s, is Omaha the
No.
Have you guys made your Final Four? Or are you going to wait until the play-in? What is the strategy here from some bracket veterans I talked to?
I'll probably rip through one today.
Yeah.
And that'll just be the one that I go with.
Are you okay? So you're a one bracket guy. You're not a multiple bracket.
Absolutely.
I think that's becoming more and more people nowadays.
I just
are-
can't
are
root
like,
for that many things.
That's the thing. Like more and more people I talk to are like, no, I make one pick and that's it. Maybe I'll enter it in different places, but I make one and I go. Like you don't want to do cross rooting, you know? I think that's stupid.
totally.
How many brackets will be just turned over to AI?
Oh,
Yeah.
You can't let you.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. We can't let AI do it for you. This is all feel. This is all guts. You
They
know?
do that at the University of Nebraska. They have a class where it's a coding class, and you have to code a program using certain stats that determines basically what the bracket is, or like who gets picked for what. And so you kind of just make equations based on what you have available. It's a really, really cool class.
And
by
that's
Matt
the
Waite.
person that comes up with a perfect bracket.
Actually, it's some of the worst brackets that they've seen, like come from that simulation. Like there was they used that bracket and they entered into the faculty tournament and they ended up losing to someone who literally picked the mascots. Like that's just how it works.
That's how it goes every year.
I know, and we all get paid to do this for a living, and so we talk about basketball, and then we enter a bracket, and the person that wins is somebody that just started watching college basketball.
Yeah, it's Susan.
It's Debbie in accounting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's Jan and
She's
resources.
like, man, that their head coach is hot. I want him to win as much
How
as
many-
possible.
When
how
do
many,
they do
how many
the,
middle-aged women's names and management jobs can we name right now? Just to rattle off who's going to be in the bracket.
Yeah, we just gave you a few of them. It's pretty good. How many? When does the coaches and their favorite music come out?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's got to come out. That's usually like tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
tomorrow or today.
Wait, what? They just released the.
It's usually, isn't it Norlander?
I think it's
because he's a big
Norlander, yeah.
music
Oh,
guy.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I just think I've seen those before.
Yeah,
It's whatever.
I think he's done it the last 2 or 3 years, and
then
a lot of the
Shaka
same.
Smarts is always different than every other coach's.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know, well, Shaka Smart's just different. I think I might be Shaka Smart for Halloween. Just show up in a
Long sleeve
don't-
polo.
I don't like that
show
for
up,
you.
show up in a polo, in a Marquette polo with like compression underneath it, and then like get a perm. Wouldn't I look good in a perm?
Let's see. Last year,
What if I got
You
frosty
should
tips?
do the perm, but don't do the Shaka costume.
I think the Shaka costume would be so funny because I know Gary wouldn't be dressed up as anything, so I would just do. It would be a whole show.
do you
of just
remember
me looking like Shaka Smart?
Do you remember what Fred Hoiberg said his favorite artist was last
Was he
year?
a DMB guy?
Kenny Chesney.
I thought it was rock. I thought it was Metallica.
It's not that hard.
Wings.
Queen
Oh, I thought it was. Yeah, I remember it being rock.
went with Queen. Let's see.
That Brian Gumble opening yesterday was actually very, very nice. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, it was good.
It was very nice.
Absolutely.
Very
Everybody
sweet.
rocking the Stones
Oh,
shirts. Tom Izzo, Jackson 5. Look at that.
you're looking at him right now.
Jackson
That
5.
is
Well, I
a
have
weird
to
one.
pick something from Motown because I'm.
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Okay, what did Shaka say last
What was
year?
Smashing Pumpkins?
Shaka said Tupac.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shaka said Tupac.
He's a cool guy.
Well, that probably helped him get a recruiter too.
Absolutely. That's the way you got to look at it.
Our coach is connected.
That's the way you got to look at it.
What did Rick Pitino? Was Rick Pitino Drake?
Rick Pitino.
Oh, his has got to be like Sinatra or.
Oh no, John's
they
gonna
were in
make
the
the tournament.
tournament last
Yeah. They
year.
didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking Iona. Does it go back to the Iona days?
I bet I could find 2 years ago, but I'm just looking at last year's right now. Yeah, there were some fun ones. Buzz Williams, Doobie Brothers.
Anyone pick the Eagles there?
How many coaches picked
Yeah.
Morgan Wallen?
There was a few. I remember we did that on the show. Brad Underwood had Morgan Wallen.
Yeah,
How about Morgan Wallen the other day at the SEC championships? He has, for some reason, an open seat next to him, and the Texas mascot came and sat next to him, and Morgan Wallen's bodyguard about lost him.
I mean,
This mascot is a threat.
It's just a mascot.
But it was, and why I recognized it was his bodyguard? It was the same guy that was here for the College World Series.
That's right. Those guys are standing next to the suite doors and saying, "No, thank you."
Nope.
I don't think so. Yeah. All right. So we're looking forward to the music whenever that comes out. Last year it
That'll be
came
a
out.
whole. That'll be a whole segment.
Last year it came out March 19th, which would have been tomorrow.
Nope.
right?
2 days. It's the
What
17th.
did Max say?
No, but like I'm saying, like day of the week.
Oh, sure.
Max said Jimmy Buffett
Okay,
tracks.
it does. It does.
Is there any like punk rock on there from any of the coaches? That'd be incredible. Like,
I would move a team to the next round if there was a Nirvana.
Oh, wow.
can you imagine Mike Woodson's is Blink 182?
Todd Golden had Sublime last year.
Oh,
Ooh, that
That's
may
not
explain a
bad.
lot.
yeah.
How active were his DMs after they won yesterday?
Is there Lincoln Park in there? That'd be great if there was a coach listening.
I don't see any Linkin Park.
No.
I got a Coldplay.
John Shire seems like he'd be a great Green Day guy. Seems right up his alley.
John Shire likes Green Day.
Yeah.
Interesting.
John Shire has a gigantic family, it appears.
Oh, I thought you were going to say face. I was like, he's got that
No.
too.
John Shire said Drake last year. So whatever he'll
Oh.
say, I wonder if he'll say that again this year.
What if you
Say Drake.
Hey,
Hey.
I know.
Yeah, I know you like him young.
He should flip and go to Kendra. No,
Oh, that'd be
so
great.
Duke is
That would be funny.
Duke is celebrating on the floor, and they're talking on TV, and they're like, and John Shire's family's out there. So it's his wife, and she's holding one of their children, and there were just kids that just kept coming. And next thing you know, there's like 7 kids. Now they all look alike. And I'm thinking, there's no way they have 8 kids because John Shire isn't that old.
No.
But the announcer was like, and John Shire's joined out there by his entire family.
Wow.
And it was nothing but kids and his wife.
I love how he's celebrating one of the happier moments of his career, and all that Gary Sharp can think about during the celebration was, damn, he gets busy. I mean, that's an
the kids
active
just-
man.
There were no adults. There were just kids out there, and they all looked like they were brother and sister.
He has
I gotta
Shire
find-
married his wife Marcel in May of 2017. The couple have 3 young children, so they only have 3. And
All
this
right.
is on the Duke. This is on the GoDuke.com.
So there were friends. There
Got
were
some-
friends of their kids that
They're
were running on the floor.
Definitely cousins and whatnot, and
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Maybe like
Extended.
Maybe
family.
like, did you guys talk about? You weren't here, but the game-winning shot by Norris. Did anyone catch like the 8-9-year-old kid that just went and dove on the dog
No.
pile?
I tried to pull apart that video like the Zapruder film because it was so good, but I did not notice that.
That little kid just jumped on the dog pile. I'm like, that kid will remember that forever.
Oh, that's sick.
And then there's going to be like in 8 or 9 years, he'll be playing for Norris,
Mhm.
and he'll hit a shot. And
Yeah.
they'll like, remember
There
this?
he is.
Flashback video.
But then they got
No.
buzzer beat the next day.
He'll
about
like
that?
Yeah.
he'll commit to Northern Colorado, and they're like, "Do you remember this guy? We've seen him before." Yeah,
And then
because
the-
he won't commit to Lincoln. He'll
And
commit
then the
to like,
Nebraska
somewhere
fans
small.
will get upset and they'll be like, oh, we
Oh,
lost another one. But
why-
you know
why-
what? When he gets into the portal, we'll bring him back.
Then he ends up transferring to Wisconsin. Just absolutely murders the Huskers' opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament. The writing is on the wall. We need to get that kid on the station before he gets too big for us.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you this right now. When Louisville got paired with Creighton, like I was at the UNO watch party, the oohs and ahs from just like the number 1 Creighton got screwed, but number 2 Chucky playing Omaha, Chucky playing
Yeah.
Creighton. It was crazy.
So when Louisville showed up and then it was Creighton, like everybody around me goes, Creighton got screwed.
When Louisville showed up, I was like, well, this is going to be Creighton. I don't know.
Oh,
Just
Bigelow called it too. Bigelow was like, "This is Creighton."
Here comes Creighton.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think there's
But you could ask, who got screwed harder? Is it Creighton? Is it Louisville? Or is it Auburn?
Yeah.
Big time. I mean, that's a tough one.
It's a bad
1-9,
deal
1-8.
for all three of those teams.
Absolutely. I think like it's always cool when you say
Auburn got the number 1 overall seed, which I don't know how. I don't know how that's the number 1 overall.
They got like 14 quad 1 wins.
Like-
Like it was kind of a foregone conclusion.
I get it,
at
but
this
they've kind of
point.
played like crap lately. And
But they lost close games. All three of those games were
so
pretty.
I get them being a
close.
1 seed. The
You
number
know,
1
like-
overall is interesting. And clearly it didn't matter because they have the toughest draw out of any
Yeah,
potential
no,
one
it's-
from the
it's-
8-9 game.
Well,
Yeah,
and
oh, by far.
clearly their head
Well,
coach
Zaga
dropping
maybe.
the P word on live television didn't matter either.
But I
But
find
I don't think he realized that he had said that
Probably.
until Broom was next to him and started to laugh.
Yeah.
And the whole set was like,
Wait a minute.
you can hear the
can't
director in
say
there.
that.
Okay, got to go break.
it's always cool when you're watching a football game and you say what the color guy says right before it happens. I feel like the one above that is when you predict what team is going to come up on the seed line and it occurs. It's like, oh my God, this guy's a ball knower.
Yeah,
You know,
he gets it.
if you just drop like, here comes a Baylor and Baylor drives, everyone's like, oh,
Hey.
go.
Once they had St. John's, I said, there's going to be Omaha.
It's the last team. What are you talking about?
That one, definitely. Yes.
So sitting there, guy that was sitting next to me is our director of basketball operations. And I'm like, can you imagine if you're a bubble team and you're sitting here watching it? At least we know we're in the tournament and we haven't seen our name yet. But if you make it to the last region that's announced and you aren't yet, like the anxiety that is going through, like they got some of the like questionable bubble teams out of the way right away.
Right. Like, so Kansas and Arkansas both knew that they were in. Arkansas knew that probably they were going to be in, even though that was the third to last team. I guess that was announced.
They announced North Carolina pretty quick.
Yes,
so
yeah,
they knew
early.
that
Texas.
was- yeah.
Diffuse that one. Not really. Don't belong there.
We're about to spend 4 hours on it.
They don't belong there. Nope.
I find it funny though that everybody is more so mad at North Carolina than they are at Xavier because they look at Xavier and they're like, oh, you've actually been playing good basketball. Like you actually look like a deserving team.
Well, they won games this year. You know, North Carolina, not so much.
Not so much. Not so much.
But it helps. You know, Belichick and his girlfriend will be at the game.
Oh God.
I hope.
Oh God. You're right. Is he going to be balancing her on
Yeah.
his legs?
What a weird
I mean,
photo.
but who hasn't done that?
Did you
like
see
as
that?
a kid?
No, I did not.
Check. Google him.
So they went to the beach. I'm glad that he's happy. I think we should celebrate people's happiness.
He's very happy.
I just love how you're always on the pro Belichick dating a 24-year-old. You're just all over
smiles
it all
more.
the time.
I'm all for it.
For him,
Every time we bring it up, Gary gets like just
Well,
a big
because
old smile across
everybody
his
wants
face.
to
Like, I love
knock her and knock him.
it. You know
because
why?
he's 72
you know
and
why-
24.
You know why she's dating him?
Why?
You know, because he's rich and he's 72.
Yeah, but for him, at a certain point, you turn 70, you're like, I don't care what people think of me anymore.
no,
Let's have a
but
hot
for
young
you know
girlfriend.
why she's doing it. Cha-ching.
Maybe they are in love. Have you
Maybe
ever thought
they're
about
in
that?
love.
No way.
Maybe
she
they're in love.
she found her way in the Dunkin' commercial. He hasn't done a damn thing in her life, and she was on a Super Bowl commercial.
She was on.
Yeah, I wonder how
was
she
an
got there.
All-American or at something.
I'm
Yeah,
not-
so
they-
we're all
hey,
there's a lot of all Americans. They don't
they-
do jack
they
squat. They
may-
work in insurance
They
companies.
may be in love. You
They
don't
may
do
be
that
in
on the
love.
beach if you're not in love.
Exactly. Did you
I've
find
done
the
a lot of
picture
things
yet?
on the beach where I wasn't in love. Not that.
Because I didn't know I had to go for bat for this being a really weird relationship.
Yeah,
I didn't
look at
know that
how
I'd be cornered here.
Look at how happy they are. In
I
that
mean, what if
picture.
your dad showed up? You know, like
I'll-
he kicks your mom out of the house. They have the settlement. He keeps the house.
Wait,
What
wait,
if-
is this him balancing his girlfriend? on his-
What if
right.
your dad was dating a 24-year-old?
What
Hey, let's play a little
I'm not-
airplane.
I would not talk to my dad. I would be very
Like-
unhappy with him
Like
for
when
an
my
extended period
parents
of time.
got divorced, and like my dad wasn't a dater, but then he met his current wife. Like when he told my brother and I about her, we were both like secretly, oh, I hope she's like mid 30s, upper 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, no, we're the same age. And I'm like, damn.
Oh, you were disappointed. Oh,
Yeah, 'cause I thought he would like dad would be, because my dad, once he
Oh,
moved
you-
to Florida, got younger.
sure.
And
yeah.
I'm like, is he dating a smoke show? That would be so great.
You wanted a little bit of pride to
Yeah.
be like, yeah.
And
No,
instead,
I'm not
and
there.
Instead,
You-
she looks
and-
like a mom.
I would hope that if my parents very late
Josh.
were to get a divorce, that they would not be with 20-something-year-olds.
Poll question up at Happer Show: is the beach for lovers?
That's good. Let's
Look
just
at
keep
this.
it there.
I'm going to tell you something right now. He's got a nice center of gravity in this. I'm actually quite impressed that he's able to get his knees almost
he's
to
been
his
working
head.
on
He's
his
a football
core.
coach.
Yeah.
By the way, I love that when you look up Bill Belichick and you go to images, it's no pictures of him holding up his 8 Lombardis or anything like that.
Not anymore.
It's nothing about football.
Bill
It is
Belichick,
all,
the guy who dates a
it is
24-year-old.
literally, this is the first picture. Her just in a beautiful outfit.
Now, do we know how they
Lovely
met?
couple.
When
Probably Instagram.
She probably was at a bingo hall and she was serving him and his friends, and he saw a very pretty server and started flirting it up. That's probably what happened.
I'm gonna throw Tom Brady out there. I'm betting Tom Brady might have been like a middleman. Like, hey, have you met Bill?
Tom Brady's got his own love life issues.
Yeah, because he has never really
you met Bill?
commented on his former head coach dating somebody that's 48 years younger than them.
Is Tom
I haven't
dating
heard
anybody
it
right
anyway.
now? Is he shacked up with anybody?
He is married to the job.
Married to the game.
Which one?
The Raiders.
Which job?
Not the broadcast.
Not the broadcast one. I hope he's
He
not.
is married to Mark Davis.
Tough.
Hey, by the way,
Somebody out there is.
today
Probably the cousin of Bill Belichick's
on the
girlfriend.
unboxing that John Gruden is doing,
Yeah.
which he did in Iowa Western.
Oh, he
I
did?
believe that the Omaha package will show up today.
Hey,
Oh,
okay.
we
let's
got
go.
Omaha
Omaha men's basketball sent him
Basketball. They're going
shoes and gear.
That's awesome.
Omaha basketball. They're going to their first tourney this year, man. I mean, what an incredible
You
job.
gotta
I remember
love that.
my dad coached running backs at Omaha Scott High School. That's where you got to start, man. I love me some Omaha. Chris Crutchfield. What a job he's doing for the Mavericks.
Hey.
You got to get the point in there.
You
yeah.
gotta.
That's pretty good.
Hey, but it helps though. I mean, look at Iowa Western. He gave a ton of love to. He loves Strohmeyer.
Yeah, I saw the one where his old boy, our old boy Trent Bray, tossed him a bunch of junk.
Yeah,
A bunch of stuff.
so then
These shoes
then
are
your
awesome,
favorite
man.
Kentucky basketball coach sent him a big box,
My dear friend, Mark Pope.
and that's it. Like he started to talk about Mark Pope.
Mark Pope is doing an excellent job.
Where did Danny Woodhead go to college, Josh Jacobs? He went to Shadron State, man.
Shadron State.
That's where he learned to pick up blitzes, man. Hey, this is Le'Veon Bell. He will ring your what, man? He'll ring your bell, man.
All right, well, you guys have a great afternoon.
You too.
All right, so we won't see you tomorrow.
We will not be here.
This is it.
This is it for the week.
Well,
Good
he'll
luck in
call. Hey, let me
Providence.
tell you something
Yeah.
right now.
Pick out a copy of the Rhode Island.
I'm laying down the law here. All right, he's going to call in and he's going to be a guest. All right.
Oh no, I won't
we're-
call in. I will be on. You will see me on your little computer screen.
We're going to find a way. You know,
Fancy
Gary
little
and
computer.
Matt. Matt will have Gary on at least a couple times throughout the week. Okay.
But but last Monday I got cut off on my own show.
Unbelievable.
Well,
I wanted to talk
because,
about the
you
Summer
were a
League game.
bad caller. You were a bad caller. We were trying to get info out of you, and you just kept going. I was in Sioux Falls.
Because I was.
That's how he sounds.
That's how I sound. And you're like, dump. And it wasn't even you, it was
Dude, we
Jimmy Allen.
Yeah, we
Wow.
were. No, I dumped. I dropped.
Did you cross paths with Jimmy in the group?
Yeah. I went on their podcast for a minute before the first game, I think, with many dignitaries.
And then did you
luminaries.
predict, guys, don't overlook DePaul. This could be a 2 overtimer.
Yes. I didn't say that it'd be a two overtimer, but I have been every time Creighton has played DePaul this year, I've been concerned.
But I did hear you say you gave a plug that Jason Green will have a big night.
Can I
That's right.
put a few
That's on Blue Jay Shoot Around, hosted by Josh Hodson, fantastically, by the way.
I'm putting a future on DePaul to win the crown.
There you go. We could have an all Big East final in that one.
Yep.
All Big East Final Four.
Ooh,
All right.
DePaul Butler
DePaul Butler
at
Villanova.
MGM Grand.
Yep, get them all going. All right, see you guys later. That's Crossover, powered by Every Level. In Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Monday. We'll start things off next.
That's the Crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone.
A warm and breezy Monday ahead with high fire danger. Expect mostly sunny skies throughout the day with south to southwest wind gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. Highs around 80. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Monday. It's the Connor Happer Show. You're on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. Back home in Omaha after a long weekend in Midtown Manhattan.
Well, technically a short weekend.
I tell you what, Josh, that ride to the airport at 3:30 yesterday hit pretty close to home. Hit pretty early. That wake up call was not good.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep. That put me out of commission for the entire day yesterday.
Yeah,
I'd like to apologize to my wife, who hadn't seen me in multiple days. She was like, "Please, anything." I'm like, "I can't. I'm incapable." I was nap city yesterday.
Put the baby on top of my chest, and we will both sleep.
Nap city yesterday. I had nothing. Nothing in the tank. So, like to apologize right off the bat there.
Neither did Creighton Saturday night.
They had a first half.
Yeah.
They had a first half. And sometimes when the team who doesn't make shots starts to make every shot, you're going to be in trouble.
Sure.
You're going to be in trouble. All right. Welcome to a Monday show, everyone. Brackets in hand. Start jotting some stuff down. Got the official one right here. I'm going to go to work on this baby a little bit later this afternoon. We got Creighton headed to Lexington, Kentucky to play on Louisville in the first game of the tournament on Thursday. The Mavs are headed to Providence, Rhode Island to take on St. John's, familiar face, on Thursday late night, 8:45 Central. And the Huskers are going to the Crown.
There's our beautiful crown. Look at that bracket. It's beautiful.
That was very creatively announced this morning on Breakfast Ball with Danny Parkins, Mark Schlereth, and Craig Carton.
A stupid-ass name.
Special guest Johnny Fanta shows up, and he's like, I got something to tell you guys. It's about the crown.
And Mark Schlereth is, what's the crown now?
Mark Schlereth did not say a word for the entire 5.5-minute clip that I watched. So that was probably good. Just stayed out of the way there. Let's let Fanta take this thing over. I don't think those guys are probably talking much basketball. College basketball on the show. They're probably just talking a little bit more about, probably Jamar Chase and T. Higgins today. That's what they're talking about.
Probably talking, what's that Penn State draft pick and his...
Abdul Carter.
Yeah, his forearm injury or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Talking draft, things like that. Football.
Cam Ward?
No football around here for another week. That's when spring ball starts up. But we're not going to talk about that today. Unless we do with our guests, Mike Schaefer, Sam McKewon. They will join the show as they regularly do here on Monday. That's the lineup powered by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. We'll go through our bracket thoughts today. We'll talk about the weekend in New York City for the Blue Jays, and then the bracket and how it ended up for both of our local teams here in Omaha. As Mac mentioned last night, pretty cool. Couple schools 30 blocks apart, both going to the NCAA tournament. Not a bad thing. And I get to make Dumb and Dumber references this week. We're back. I thought the Providence jokes were dead.
Hell yeah.
They are still alive, ladies and gentlemen.
Mutt cuts.
Nebraska baseball. They've fallen to 1-5 in Big Ten play after getting swept in Westwood this weekend. Yeah.
Concern.
Josh has concern about this. Well, we'll talk about the stupid crown and one other thing that happened in college baseball, which was a kid from Michigan who slid into third base and snorted the third base slide as if it was a line of cocaine.
This is not an exaggeration.
No, he did that.
That is exactly what happened. Oh, come on. Media with their hyperbole. Nope.
That is the setup for today's show. We are very happy that you are with us today. We have many thoughts. Who got screwed? That's what today is all about, ladies and gentlemen. Who got screwed? Was it Creighton?
So many Mountaineer basketball fans all of a sudden.
Yeah, look at that. Shout out to D-Rock and them boys out there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to the Crown. D-Rock's like,
I
think I'm going to take the Iowa job.
I don't think so.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to get the hell out of here.
Did you hear their we'll talk about this next. Did you hear about their explanation of why they kept West Virginia out of the field?
I've only sort of read some headlines.
Well, they were like, they had a player injured. Tucker DeVries is, he's not going to play in the NCAA tournament. Well, of course he's not going to play in the NCAA tournament. He hasn't played since December.
I think they found a way to navigate that injury.
Very, very sound reasoning to keep a team out of the NCAA tournament and put North Carolina in.
There was a vote of some kind?
There was a vote. It didn't include Bubba Cunningham. I like how he had to have his sidekick there last night, Mr. Gill. And he's like, yeah, I'll tell you what happened. We just liked him better. Buzz off, buddy.
North Carolina, West Virginia. Who you picking?
I'll tell you what, North Carolina. All right. We're off and running here on a Monday. Once again, very, very happy that you have decided to join us today. And you can do so and interact with the show in many different areas, whether it be the phone or the text line, 402-951-1620. Call or text there. Tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor and Josh Show at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And you can watch us along on YouTube today. What's up, brother? Can I get some poop emojis in the chat? Because this poop bracket.
Some are calling it the poopiest bracket of all time. It already had Oklahoma in it.
Poop bracket 2025. Yeah, Oklahoma comfortably in the field.
Imagine being in the SEC and not making the NCAA tournament.
There was only two. There was only two. All right, back with the big picture bracket thoughts coming up on 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone is proud to bring you wall-to-wall coverage of the NCAA tournament this year. Our coverage will begin on Thursday with Blue Jay Shoot-Around.
Yeah.
At 10:30, conveniently located, before Creighton will play in the first game of the NCAA tournament in Lexington against Louisville at 11:15 Central Time. Then Josh will turn it over to Westwood One coverage throughout the remainder of the day.
Me?
We.
You said Josh will turn it over to.
I said then Josh we will turn it over.
Okay.
To Westwood One coverage throughout the remainder of the day. And you can catch the Mavs on 1290 Coil on Thursday night when they take on St. John's in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So no Happer show Thursday or Friday. We like to get out of the way when the big events, big names, big games, Josh, right?
That's us, 1620 The Zone.
Big names, big games, 1620 The Zone. Quickly, an email from John.
Hi, John.
Is Josh ready to cancel Nebraska baseball after their horrible start to conference play?
So
you check on this, Josh.
I have thought of this.
All right. And remember, this is when you were talking about Nebraska baseball like 2 years ago, this is when people started to call you out. Some guy, Josh.
That's right.
Some guy named Josh just had takes on the radio about Nebraska baseball. It has not been good. It has been quite bad.
I'm going to wait 10 days.
10 days from now?
8 days.
All right. So that's 2 more weekends. Or 1 more weekend.
They got 6 games that will tell you everything you need to know.
Is the first Creighton game next week?
No.
Okay.
These are all road games, by the way. So 2 in Malibu against Pepperdine, a weekend series against USC, and then at Kansas State, which every other team in the state of Nebraska beat Kansas State.
They're 7-11, Josh.
They are
7-11.
UCLA has a very good record.
Yep. Very good baseball team, of course, as we all know. The Huskers.
Oh, God. Then they play Oregon State after that.
The Huskers.
And then they play Creighton.
The Huskers are striking out nearly 10 times a game.
That's a lot.
It is. 175 strikeouts. There's just 61 walks so far this year. So much for the grinded out lineup. It's the kings of strikeouts so far this year for Nebraska baseball. It's been a bit of an ongoing theme for them. We will talk about Nebraska baseball a little bit later on in the show. I got an email from Sean.
Hi, Sean.
What was up with the spat between McDermott and Bill Murray's kid? Oh, we got some stuff to talk about. Should we?
I didn't think about that at the time. That was Bill Murray's kid.
It was Bill Murray's kid. So should we do the weekend in New York here first while we have a couple minutes, and then we'll get to the big bracket thoughts coming up in a second?
Yeah.
So let me just say, one of the craziest sports environments that I've ever been in. Yeah, Saturday night at the Garden. It was the whole thing. Spike Lee, A-Rod, thousands upon thousands of absolutely hammered and bloodthirsty New Yorkers.
Waiting to bing bong all over that thing.
I mean, they you walk out through the escalators and you're in kind of this hallway where everybody's gathering after the game ends and let's go Johnny's, that whole, I mean, it was deafeningly loud. I don't know how it sounded. It didn't do it justice on TV from what I saw. When St. John's hit their run in the second half, they barely missed a shot. One of the craziest environments that I've ever been in. And we'll talk about what it means, obviously, for Creighton as well. But to beat UConn the way they beat UConn, absolutely beautiful. Chef's kiss, no notes. Are we still talking about Jemiah's dunk today? Or has that been washed away by the memory of Saturday night?
I think it's probably been washed away, but I could talk about it conservatively forever.
It's awesome. It was awesome. I told you on Shoot Around yesterday or Saturday. God, I don't know what day it is. I told you on Shoot Around Saturday, like I sort of winced in the moment, like this is not good. Only because I knew that it had a possibility to escalate. And the UConn fans weren't nearly as bloodthirsty as the St. John's fans were on Saturday night. But yeah, and so he made the decision to go dunk it. And honestly, with who they are and the crap that that Creighton had to just watch when they beat them here in Omaha. You got Liam McNeely doing whatever the hell this is with his fingers, and Creighton took great pleasure in beating UConn on Saturday night or Friday night. There is no doubt about it. I have no notes. And for the whole tournament and the experience entirely, it's obviously a net positive. I asked Mac that after the game on Saturday, after they lost, and he was like, yeah. And think about what it means for them as a team too. Like, you got Jason Green having a career night. You got Jackson McAndrew, like, making tough plays. Every time the ball goes up when you play St. John's, it is a fight. It is a war, right? Mm-hmm. And you got Jackson McAndrew winning a couple of those wars. You got Fedor making plays against DePaul before he goes out of the St. John's game on Saturday night. You got Ty Davis making plays in overtime after Ashworth fouls out of the DePaul game. Like, a wholly positive experience for Creighton outside of now being 0-5 in Big East title games. And now it's sort of a thing, right? It's definitely. It's kind of a thing. But I did see some reaction to this afterwards on Saturday, and there was a lot of like, man, like, could it be any easier for St. John's, right? They're the number 1 seed, and they got to play on their home gym in front of their home fans for their first Big East tournament title since 2000, and they're the conference champs, and they hadn't done that since the 80s. No, but that's okay.
Yeah, they get to play there every year and haven't for the last 25 years.
It's always going to be hard for Creighton to win this tournament because of the East Coast, flair that you have in this league. It's always going to be harder for the Marquettes and the Creightons and the Xaviers and the Butlers to win this tournament. It just is, just because of the way that the fans are sort of laid out. But I do not want to hear any of this about it moving or how it's such a disadvantage to the Midwest teams, and you have to, kind of have shout outs to those teams when you play in a conference tournament. Like, no, you are assimilating to the Big East culture. You are a part of that now, whether it doesn't look like it did 20 years ago or not. You are in the Big East, and the Big East tournament is at Madison Square Garden with Anna Negron singing the national anthem and with Hypnotize leading St. John's on Saturday night. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, that's just one of the things that you have to deal with.
It's what you signed up for.
And frankly, I do think it makes you better. Like, it makes you tougher to win those physical games in, 3 days in a row, if you're able to do it, or even get to the third game. It makes you better. And what do you know? Creighton is set up for a game in Lexington, Kentucky, where it's going to be overwhelmingly red, against Louisville, and then they'll have Chucky Hepburn to deal with as well. So, like, I would imagine that experience helps the Blue Jays going into the NCAA tournament. It makes you tougher, it makes you better, and it gives you an idea of exactly what it's going to take to win a game in a do or die situation, with everyone going against you. Would it be great if you played an NCAA tournament game at a truly neutral site, or a Big East game at a truly neutral site? Like, sure, but I would absolutely take this over the alternative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Big East tournament is what makes the Big East awesome. It's been in the same place forever. And
now that the ACC tournament isn't in Greensboro, I don't know where it is now. Yeah. I don't know where the SEC tournament is played.
Nashville?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Big 12 is in Kansas City because that's so close to us.
And the people embrace it, right? So that's what it's all about. I thought it was. So Jake writes in. Flaky Jake writes in.
Hi, Flaky Jake.
Play the Big East tournament in Omaha, Connor. No, thank you.
I don't think I'd like that.
No, thank you. I would not at all.
YouTube comment here.
Hey, YouTube.
From Gooby Boob.
Gooby Boob.
Regarding the Jemiah Neal dunk. If UConn did that to Creighton, you would throw a hissy fit.
Yeah, I'm not mad at UConn for throwing a hissy fit about what Creighton did.
If Creighton...
Of course I would throw a hissy fit. This is what it's about.
If Creighton had a coach that just nonstop talked about how great he was and then lost a game, yeah, I'd probably wiggle. Well, when you talk, that kind of thing can happen.
Yeah. Like, of course. Is UConn not as far as I can tell, UConn is still throwing a hissy fit, and I would be throwing a hissy fit if it went the other way. I'd be like, that's what sports would like, and that's all of that. That's why I don't have a problem with it. That's precisely my point, Mr. Gooby Boob.
If that is your real name.
So we can extend that conversation. We come back after the break. We also have a phone call that we could get to on the other line. We do have to take a timeout here. We'll be back on the other side. It is a Monday on the Counter Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. 11 o'clock hour of the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. We are here for you all. So whether you want to talk about the big dance, the dance at MSG, or the crown dance, we'll take all your calls and all your texts. And speaking of, we head to the hotline right now. Phone call from our good friend, Random Mike. Hello, Mike.
Kind of meaning to tell you guys, my late mother had an expression: "If you think good thoughts about people, let them know." And that's a great way to be, and she was. And I was thinking good thoughts about you. It was a while back, and it was that Hope Lodge show you did.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, man, he's handling that beautifully, really well.
Well, thank you, Mike. It's it's a moving experience every year for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, very effective and really touching. But I thought you handled that as well as it could be done. Hey, this will be less random than usual. Fedor, I love that name because the great fighter from Russia. Isn't that his name too, Fedor?
Fedor or Setter?
Fedor. Fedor?
Oh, Fedor. Yeah, Fedor. Yeah.
Mine.
You're good.
The great ultimate fighter from Russia, same name, right?
I don't know. I don't know what happens in ultimate fighting at all, really. But
okay. What's the latest word? Because this is big. I think if we can get him back.
Yeah. Are you a J-sker, Mike?
I'm not technically a J-sker. I didn't go to Nebraska. I went to Creighton for part of my education, and I root for both teams. I sincerely do. But for some reason now, maybe because I go to Nebraska games and Johnny Rogers, I tend to root now for Nebraska when they play each other. But when I was at Creighton, I rooted for Creighton when they played each other.
Okay,
very often.
I would expect him to be available for Creighton on Thursday. That's my expectation.
Because I mean, the thing I'm thinking, Creighton. One reason they haven't won the Big East tournament is you're playing every night. And they've not played a lot of players, and that's really tough. And it was pretty obvious, I thought, that they ran out of gas.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
No, definitely, yes.
and Fedor gives them that depth, and he's a wild card. And Neal's a wild. They got some wild guys. What I'm saying, and I was saying, my feeling on the NCAA tournament is it's great if you got a chance. And I think Creighton's got a chance, especially if. They got all hands on deck because they got some really special players.
I agree, and their style of basketball is difficult, and if you're going up against them and you're on offense and Creighton's on defense, you're going to have to deal with Mr. Tree Man in the middle. So yeah, it's a tough matchup for anybody. I think that's a good way to spin it, even though people are definitely talking more about how they got screwed with playing the team that's seated 3 lines too low.
Yeah, but everything you said about the enormous home field advantage we were going against helps us now. So yeah, I think it's kind of cool, and the young guys playing at their best, and great credit to the coaching that these guys get physically better and they get better. It could be really exciting. So that's all I got to say. Take care, man.
Thank you, Mike. Good to hear from you. I wonder. Well, I should have just asked. Hopefully Mike heard the shout out that we gave him in the parody song.
Oh yeah.
When Nebraska missed the Big Ten tournament.
We haven't checked in on that. People forget Nebraska ball missed the Big Ten tournament.
But they did make the crown.
Our beautiful, beautiful crown.
Speaking of making or not making postseason tournaments, we have this in from West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey.
Hi, West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey.
That's right, Josh. Today, I am joining the West Virginia Attorney General to announce actions against the National Corrupt Athletic Association.
That cannot be what NCAA stands for.
It's not. But he is. He will be hosting a live stream on X,
which he definitely knows all about,
at noon to talk about how the NCAA is corrupt, assumingly in the context of West Virginia not making the NCAA basketball tournament, the National Corrupt Athletic Association basketball tournament.
No easier way to score political points than rooting for the home team.
Maybe. At a certain point, it becomes like, okay, I know what you're doing here, and it's not going to work on me, buddy.
You'd be surprised.
One more thing before we get back to the brackets. I have to say this out loud. Jack Caglione.
Jack no K.
Jack, J-A-C.
He doesn't take Ks, Connor.
Has been assigned to minor league camp. So a couple more rounds of cuts for the Royals before they break camp. Jack was on the roster for a long, long time. Made it all the way to this point, but he will start the season in the minors, barring some sort of an injury or something like that in the last 2 weeks of spring ball here,
which we would not wish upon anyone.
And so now the question is, which of America's cities does he begin in? Papillion, Nebraska, or I don't know what the town is. It's somewhere in Northwest Arkansas.
Benton.
Yeah, you might be right. That might be right. Outside of Fayetteville, so somewhere in the northwestern point. When he goes from Kansas City, will he take the drive 3 hours north or 3 hours south?
Springdale,
Arkansas. Jack, get ready to learn Papillion. All right. So definitely keeping an eye on that one. All right. Back to the Creighton of this entire thing. So I got a couple emails.
Okay.
Bullet Point Bob is here.
BPB.
Subject line, Pitino, the anti-weasel. Conan, did you happen to catch Pitino's locker room talk with his team before playing Marquette? He wants to match up with the best team possible. He is the yin to the Blue Jays yang. Quote, this is such a great experience for you guys to get ready for the tournament, playing great competition. I mean, I wanted Creighton to win so badly last night, not because DePaul wasn't a Cinderella team. I did hear that. If we've got to face in the finals, I want to face an outstanding team with an outstanding big man to get us ready for the tournament. This will get us ready for the tournament. There's nobody who we will see who will play as hard as Marquette. They'll play just as hard, but nobody will play harder than Marquette. So this is a great game for us, and whoever we have to play in the finals, we'll beat them too. That was Rick Pitino. Also, he says, P.S. Neil Dunking was so low rent. You know that in your heart.
Really? Did he say that?
Yeah, that's what it says.
It's not judge others on morals, eh, Rick?
No. I'm sorry. That's what Bullet Point Bob said.
Oh, okay.
That's what Bullet Point Bob said. That was the PS from Bullet Point Bob, not from Rick Pitino. I apologize. He did not say that. We would have heard about that. We probably would have heard about that one a little bit. It's a rivalry, folks.
Yeah.
Those teams don't like each other. Everybody's celebrating on everybody. Mm-hmm. We got people doing the falling asleep. We got people doing the whatever this is. We got the other coach calling people bald and fat.
Two rings, Baldy.
Telling them about their 2 rings and stuff like that. Great. Congratulations.
How did he coach the end of that game with no glasses?
Creighton's response is, we own you. And UConn's response is, we got 2 rings. This is how rivalries work. These 2 teams just yell at brick walls. Brick walls. Nebraska versus Iowa in football. Iowa says, well, we beat you every single game. Nebraska says, well, we have national championships. They don't speak the same language. Mm-hmm. That's how rivalries work.
Oh, you're going to put that in your trophy case?
And it gives the other team, whoever wins the game, the responsibility, the license to have some fun.
And yes, you're going to break some unwritten rules when you're having fun.
Exactly.
Clutch your pearls just a little bit harder.
Yep.
You soft ass people.
Husker Biker writes in.
Hi, Husker Biker. Now that sounds like a badass.
With all the hype surrounding the Crown tournament, I am feeling some Burger King for lunch. LOL.
Is this going to drive sales to Burger King because people are just inadvertently hearing the Crown all the time?
Heard about a Crown in a very, very long time.
Ratings for Netflix's British docuseries The Crown are at an all-time high.
There is some buzz. Black Cat is interested. He needs an excuse to go to Vegas. He's like, let's go. Let's go to the Crown. Come on. Let's go to the Crown. But yeah. Anyway, back to the last segment.
Oh, okay.
First of all, the Big East tournament is going to stay in Madison Square Garden forever and ever and always, and nor should it be even considered to move or.
Bad take, Midwesterners. Bad take.
I don't know what you get out of complaining about the fact that it's on the East Coast. Like, once again, you are now a part of this. You are now a part of the environment that you play in, and yes, they're going to be a little bit slanted toward the East Coast, especially toward the New York City team. When they play in the finals and their fan base has been invigorated for the first time in multiple decades, yeah, it's going to feel like a road game. it felt like the biggest road game ever on Saturday night. But once again, like I said, I think it was a positive experience for Creighton. So then you have what they ended up with in the NCAA tournament, which is a date with Louisville on Thursday to start the NCAA tournament. Big broadcast crew, right? They're starting the day off on CBS. They will be the game following your one episode a year that you watch, The Price is Right.
This was the first thing I thought of when the tip time was revealed. It's like, wow, Connor's going to watch his annual episode of Price is Right. And then watch a Creighton game. I don't know that he's ever had that pleasure.
It's been close. They've played early in the day, but
I think they played the second game of the day before.
Yeah, I can't really, I don't know. And I know that they've played in some first games in like the round of 32 before.
Okay.
But I don't, in the round of 64, I mean, it'd be a better question for Rob or something like that. Like, have they ever played in the first game of the tournament, period? I don't think so. They have made the tournament like 26 times now. 26 times.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So they get a matchup with Louisville, who on the bracket matrix was 5.83.
What does that mean, Connor?
So that means out of 111 bracketologists that submitted brackets that were accumulated by the bracket matrix, the average seed line for Louisville was in between 5 and 6, closer to 6. They ended up as an 8. But if you're them, I mean, there's a lot of pluses and minuses here. If you're Louisville, do you take the trade of dropping 2 seed lines just to play an hour away from home? Or do you say, no, we're supposed to be playing a bubble team here, and we are not. We're playing the definitively second best team in the Big East, from the entire year. And they are definitively the second best team in the ACC all year. They were supposed to be a 6. They went all the way to the ACC final before losing to Duke. They finished second in the ACC. They got second place in the ACC tournament. Obviously, they were dinged because of the conference that they played in this year. But with that being said, Clemson, who Louisville beat twice this year, got a 5. So, I don't know.
Well, they were ranked like 10th in the country going into the conference tournament.
And Marquette got a 7 and Creighton got a 9.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to make of any of this. We'll talk about the big picture bracket thoughts a little bit later. Creighton got a 9. Possibly the most ridiculous thing out of all this. I know people look at the matchup and they're like, God, I don't want to play. I mean, Chucky and Louisville and an hour away and all this stuff. Creighton finished second in the Big East. They got second in the Big East tournament. They beat UConn twice. They beat St. John's. They beat Marquette. They beat Kansas. And so you look at this and you're like, man, there was one conference who obviously stood out to the committee above all the rest, and that was the one who got 14 teams in out of the 16 possible in the SEC. And then all the other conferences got completely mangled because of that. The Big East was viewed as a lower level conference this year. The ACC was viewed as a lower level conference. I mean, tell me how, Josh, the St. John's Red Storm, who went 30-4 this year, 30-4, won the regular season Big East, won the Big East tournament convincingly. Mm-hmm. How's that team not a 1 seed? That's a 1 seed resume.
They lost to whatever seed Creighton is. Was that 9 seed? 9 seed Creighton?
That's a 1 seed resume.
Nah. Have you seen what Auburn did in December?
Yeah, I that's what it came to be. Apparently non-conference strength of schedule was, or non-conference wins just totally. That was the thing this year.
I heard Mac actually in that Selection Sunday show.
Yeah,
that they had for the fans. He said, "Hey, we played UTRGV and we beat them. And what did it get us? I got no credit for it, so I'm not scheduling Tennessee anymore."
Nice, Josh. And then as we get a tweet here from Jack John, not to mention the winner gets Auburn. That's one that I'm a little less.
You've said Auburn's gettable for a couple months now.
I think Auburn is gettable. Now the challenge with them is obviously they're very, very good. But when you look at this, once again, 14 teams from the SEC made it in. They are in off of the strength of their league and the strength, of course, at the top. And Auburn was the number 1 team in the country the majority of the year. Haven't been playing great basketball lately, but they're old and they're experienced, and they have a couple of the best players. I mean, they have Janai Broom, who's one of, if not the best player in the country. But I do believe that game is gettable for whoever wins the Louisville Creighton game. And so the question is that I want to ask right off the bat here before we talk to Schaefer, if you are Auburn, Louisville, and Creighton, who is the most mad today and who has the biggest gripe for how things ended up for where they ended up? Now, Auburn is the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, but they got stuck with a team that everybody thought was a 5, and then a team that everybody thought was probably that could have been a 7.
I think that's my answer. I think Auburn's my answer because, I mean, these 1 seeds are kind of used to that first weekend not having to work that hard. And there's a couple 8-9 matchups that could prove dangerous for the 1 seeds.
Now, if you're Auburn, you don't have to play both Louisville or Creighton.
Right.
You just have to play one of Louisville or Creighton.
Now, that would be a twist.
Who's going to be coming off of a slugfest, right? So there's that advantage to you. Florida, a 1 seed, gets matched up with either UConn or Oklahoma in the next round. Duke,
gee, I wonder who it's going to be,
gets Mississippi State or Baylor, and Houston gets Gonzaga or Georgia. So if you're out of the 1 seeds, I don't know. Like, would you? Louisville is the most qualified, I think, out of all those teams, maybe with the exception of Gonzaga.
Metrics love Gonzaga. We've been over this.
The metrics love Gonzaga.
Eyeballs do not.
If you're Louisville, you're 2 lines shorter than you thought you were going to be. You've ripped through the entire ACC. You lost 2 games in the conference this year, and you lost to Duke in the final. And it pops up on Selection Sunday that you're an 8 seed, and then you have to play a 1 in the next game, where you thought you could be a 5 and potentially, be in the second round against a team that is a lot like you from a metrics perspective, and a 4. And then if you're Creighton, I think you like your body of work, and you finish second in the Big East. You finish second in the Big East tournament, and you get stuck with the team who has a point guard from Omaha, and they're playing an hour away from where their campus is, and they're still the Auburn part of this thing as well. And by the way, a team who's once again seated 2 or 3 lines too low. So who is the biggest gripe today? Like, I think from Creighton's perspective, you knew you were kind of going to be in an 8-9 game, and at least that was the sense coming off of the weekends. Like, you're probably going to be an 8-9 game, and it's just going to be a total toss-up, and then you're going to get a 1. From that perspective, if that was your expectation, I'm like, well, I don't mind playing Auburn. If you're gaming it ahead. Now, Louisville was not the predicted opponent. Obviously, it's a little tougher than maybe you thought it was going to be right out of the gate. But I mean, when you're in that range, you're a back end of the top 25 type of team, like Creighton basically has been the entire year. I don't know. I don't think they have the biggest gripe out of the group. Maybe it is Auburn, like you said, Josh.
Historically, those 1s have had an easier 8-9 matchup than Louisville
and maybe I'm
or
totally,
UConn.
And maybe I'm totally wrong about Auburn. Like, maybe Auburn just rips through this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's how I'm looking at it at the moment. So
Ken with an interesting,
what's Ken saying?
Thought-provoking question. Quit bitching about seeding. You have to win to move on regardless of who you play. Are you scared to play competition?
This is great ammo for Bullet Point Bob on the Weasel Wins game.
It's the Monday after the brackets were released. This is what we do on sports radio. We're just getting to Thursday.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Like,
this is what we do.
This is kind of how it works. You analyze the bracket and you see who got put in the field, who got left out of the field, where a team should have been based on what we kind of thought going into it, the surprises, the whatever. So yeah, I mean, but once again, I think
you are correct.
I mean, Creighton was going to be in an 8-9 game the entire way. They just didn't think they'd be in this 8-9 game. And the 8-9 games are tough. The 8-9 games are always tough. Nebraska, I think, had dreams of winning a game in the NCAA tournament last year, and they thought that they had a chance to do so, and they got stuck with a team who was just a horrendous matchup for them in Texas A&M in an 8-9 game.
Against Trev.
And against Trev. So there's a local connection. Like, just kind of the way it goes.
And now they're in the crown.
Imagine being
in the crown.
Hey,
What?
Some good teams in the crown, Josh.
George Washington, Boise State, who should have got in. You don't hear them bitching. West Virginia.
Look at that.
Look at that beautiful crown bracket.
Look at that crown.
Look at that. Villanova, Colorado. Who you picking? Who you picking?
Villanova with no coach. Maybe better than Villanova with a coach.
Can DePaul get on a run?
Who knows? You know who St. John's and UConn fans hate? Villanova.
Oh yeah.
Every time Villanova was
one of those old Big East rivalries.
They put like a Villanova fan up on the screen, incessant boos. They booed everything.
Well, it's New York.
They booed everything. They booed.
It's called a Bronx cheer.
They did this game with the Colgate toothpaste, and the guy had to put a enlarged toothpaste on a giant toothbrush and then kind of balance it and then drop the toothbrush and then make a free throw.
They're booing.
They're booze the entire time.
Oh, come on, New York.
Just rained with booze the entire time. I don't know if they didn't like the game. I don't know if because the person oftentimes finished with like 15 seconds left. They gave him 45 seconds when it should have been 30. And they're
I'm a crest man.
Yeah, boo. Yeah, so they booed everything, but definitely Villanova. And they didn't have I was surprised that during the starting lineups right before Hypnotize was going to get played and St. John's was going to get introduced on Saturday night, I was surprised that Ryan Kalkbrenner wasn't just showered with booze. I mean, it was a little bit.
Oh,
but
begrudging respect for the 37-year-old big man.
Maybe there was some respect there. But then once St. John's got cooking in the second half, they went into total bleep you mode. Total bleep you mode.
Platt cat. Could you imagine having to do the Let It Fly challenge at MSG?
See, that's a situation where I would have just steered into it. I would have been like, "Shut up, you idiots!
You animals!
This game is great.
This man's trying to win some money for his family.
Everyone knows the rules. You boo me all you want, but the history will not view kindly to you." And then they just boo me all the way out, and I wouldn't care. I'd be like, "Give it to me. It'd be great.
Let it rain."
All right, we're back with Mike Schaefer coming up on the other side here on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Come the Guardians.
Yeah, I have statistics to back up that we have people that listen.
Mike Schaefer.
Anytime there's sort of a debate as to who can do something, Happer would always put his name forth. For sure.
Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I could be a star.
All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show. You're on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. We're joined now on the phone by Mike Schaefer, who was just really pulling Josh's ear on. I assume you have many ideas, Schaefer. Is the idea brain cooking this morning?
Well, it started because I misheard something Josh said because he was discussing how people are talking about brackets on the television.
Yes.
And I heard breakfast. And then it ultimately ended up with, I think the Happer Show needs to have a breakfast bracket. I don't know that I have any more to add than just the very generic idea there. Now,
Denver omelet screwed over as a 3 seed.
Yeah. If you want to put your own spin on it from there, that'd be great. Like, is the English breakfast, like with the tomato and everything, is that going to be the 16th seed?
Yeah, with the beans.
Yeah.
Whatever they're doing over there. Yeah. Give me that garbage is out in the first round for sure.
She's just a total blowout.
But you know what would happen though, Schaefer? It's if we had people vote on this, like bacon would just win because people see the word bacon and they're just like, oh, bacon, that's the best.
I got bacon soap in my house.
Because I'm more or less like a living cartoon character. I was just in a conversation with multiple people yesterday where we were identifying overrated food. And I had bacon as my honorable mention, just outside of my top 3.
Absolutely on the list for me. Very incredible. Good, but overrated.
I like bacon, but it's not like I don't need it in everything. It's not my favorite of the breakfast meats. It's just really solid, and I think it gets treated like it's infallible. And bacon is not infallible. It can fail you, and it can fail your meal.
Is bacon infallible? Poll question up coming up at Happer Show. Is The Crown infallible? Do you love The Crown, Mike Schaefer?
I don't really watch it on Netflix, but as far as the basketball tournament that's taking place, I'm fine with it. Like I
am too. It's whatever.
I don't have any issue with teams that are not playing in the NCAA tournament continuing to play basketball because it's just more basketball on the television. And I, Mike Schaefer, grown adult who gets to control the remote when my son doesn't steal it and hide it, I can determine what I want to watch.
It's great. Television. You can choose whether you want to watch it or not watch it. They're both options.
Here's the other thing, and I don't know if people who aren't interested in The Crown are aware of this, but you also don't have to exclaim that you are not going to watch The Crown. It will exist whether or not you or I or anyone else chooses to watch it. Now, if no one watches it, it will not exist past this year. However, I suspect at least a few people will watch it, and no one's opinion will change on it if someone loudly proclaims that they will not be watching The Crown.
Do you think there will be anybody on Nebraska's roster by the time The Crown starts?
Yeah. I think most of the seniors will end up playing.
Well, yes.
I don't, and their roster is largely seniors and the coach's kid, and I'm pretty sure Sam's not going to pull out from playing. So you've got that. Are we talking like Gavin Griffiths goes into the portal or Ulyss ducks out? I don't know that. I don't know the tears are going to be shed there if that's the case. But Connor Essegian seems like he's coming back.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
It'd be a lot more fun to me if the redshirt people were available, and then all of a sudden we just got to see Ring Mass play one more game with Bryce Williams and Joanne Gary.
Oh.
I would really like that, but it doesn't seem like they had the foresight when the way that college football did, allowing redshirts to play in exhibition style bowl games. Really, basketball should allow redshirts to play in the postseason.
Good take.
Could you imagine a redshirt just comes off the bench in the NCAA tournament and hits a game-winning shot?
Yeah, and then they stay at said school because they then had a taste of it, and like maybe it alters the course of their career.
And maybe it leads to more people staying at the same school, and therefore we get to watch the same rosters carry over, which is the biggest downside in college basketball right now.
Exactly.
The game is good. The games are entertaining. I just wish that when a day like yesterday happens and a team pops up, I don't have to be like, okay, so who is on this team? You know, there's no carryover. That's my biggest complaint about college basketball is that I don't have the same feel for it that I did 15, 20 years ago, because I don't get to watch these guys have some success in March and then just glom onto a team and be like, oh, I'm a Maryland fan now. I like Juan Dixon. I like Lonnie Baxter. I'm a big Chris Wilcox guy. That doesn't get to happen anymore. There are no big Chris Wilcox guys anymore.
No,
they're all gone.
Unfortunately, there's not. Here's the other positive about the crown, Schaefer, or I guess I'll ask you if it's a positive, but I assume you're going to say yes. The fact that it's a mere steps away from the casino floor at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. It's great.
Yeah, that's great. Are you going to be out you're normally in Las Vegas around this time?
I am. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that I'll be in Las Vegas, but if you just generally ask me, hey, Connor, do you want to be in Las Vegas? My answer is yes, regardless of if there's going to be a college basketball tournament or not.
I tend to assume that I can say, hey, Connor, do you want, and then whatever is after that I say there, there's probably 60% chance it's going to be a yes.
That's basically how I ended up in New York last weekend.
A meatball sandwich?
Yes.
Hey, Connor. Exactly, right.
That's basically how I ended up in New York last weekend. I just was like, yeah, I'll go. That sounds like a good idea.
And then there you were. And how good was that pastrami? Because that photo, the pickles I didn't care for. I don't know that I've ever had. Is it matzo ball soup? Is that how it's pronounced? Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever had matzo ball soup. But it looked interesting. The pastrami though, oh my, the pastrami looked incredible.
So I should have got a full sandwich. You
did the half with the soup cup.
I did the half with the soup because I wanted the matzo ball soup.
You thought that it was going to reflect better on you as a person by doing the half with the soup cup?
Kind of, yes, because I wanted to diversify a little bit, like, oh, guy goes, Nebraska goes to New York and gets a big pile of meat, It's like, no, give me the matzo ball soup too. I wanted to be in the deli as much as I possibly could.
I can't believe you let outside factors influence your order. You could have gorged on that pastrami.
Well, the guy asked me if he non-verbally asked me if I wanted pickles by pointing at a big bucket of pickles. And I was like, yeah, I'll take a big. I didn't realize he'd give me 800 pickles to go with the meal, of which I ate like one spear.
I think that by rule, you get all these pickles because nobody actually wants the pickles, but that's a different conversation for a different time.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know how anti-pickle you were until...
Very anti-pickle.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
It pretty much ruins a special at an Omaha restaurant almost every day because they feel like they have to put a pickle on everything.
Wow.
Burrito, pickle.
It's a dressing for many food items, Schaefer. You have to... but you, of course, customize your food and you say no pickles. No, thank you.
You're not allowed to at that place.
Oh, yeah.
The special, you get the special as it's designed. And I love this place, but often I have to acknowledge that I will be eating a pickle or try to pull it out myself, which then is just a disaster. So I just forced to stomach the pickle.
Are you excited to sit around and watch the 2 full days of the slate on Thursday and Friday, and then I guess obviously into the weekend? But what do you like about the bracket or dislike about the bracket?
Tell me if I'm nuts here, but Thursday seems like a significantly better. Don't have a real, and obviously I get both Omaha teams are playing on Thursday, but independent of that, I feel like Thursday's games seem more interesting to me as someone who doesn't have a strong feel on any of it with college basketball. Like there's not some other team that I really want to watch, but just the matchups in the games seem more interesting. Some of those 4 or 5 matchups at the end of the night, or I think there's a Texas Tech ends Thursday night, and there's the Montana, Michigan is before them.
Yep.
So I just feel like the Thursday slate ended up looking more appealing to me as just a drop in and watch random amounts of basketball than Friday. But it doesn't mean that the games won't be good. It's just, I don't know that I have the same sort of enthusiasm for Friday. I still will absolutely be watching it. But I feel like Thursday looks better on paper.
And knowing how that usually goes, that means Friday will just be an absolutely absurd day because that's how it works.
I have a question for you because you watch a lot of college basketball. I assume you've watched at least a little of this Michigan team, whether the awful Nebraska game or just other Big Ten games they've played. Would it not be the most fitting thing ever if they get knocked out on a buzzer beater? Because every game they play feels like it's within 3 points with 30 seconds to go every single time. And they keep winning these games. And it, as someone who has watched so much putrid bad Nebraska basketball in the final minute of a game, it offends me to watch a team just calmly do everything correct and then always win because of it, because I never get to see that. And so I feel like Michigan should lose to, I believe, Montana on a buzzer beater to really cap off how that season has played out. Like every one of their games is within 5 points.
So before the Big Ten tournament, they played 6 out of their last 8 wins were all by a possession or less, and the other 2 wins were by 4.
Yeah.
So just outside of that mark.
I know they smoked Purdue, so that didn't hold necessarily in the Big Ten tournament. But that Maryland game was excellent.
Yep.
And the finish was great. Like I don't really have any problem that Michigan's winning. It's just like I don't understand how they keep pulling this out every single time. Like they either make the perfect shot or their opponent does the exact wrong thing, and it always seems to work out for them. And I would like to see a team that I watch do that, but I never really get to.
And they're the team who, they won the Big Ten, or they went on this run in the Big Ten tournament to win the Big Ten tournament, and they've been a good team all season long. And they end up with a 5, which seems like the Big Ten tournament didn't do anything for them. And they get stuck with a 12 in the first round, and that 12 just so happens to be basically the best or the second best mid-major in the country, and they're riding the nation's longest active winning streak in UC San Diego. So
I had it wrong. I don't know who Montana is playing. For some reason, I had Montana, Michigan. But yeah, UC San Diego, the Triton.
The Tritons.
Do we know what a Triton is?
It's a it's a pitchfork.
A trident is the spear or whatever, but I don't know what a Triton is.
What is a Triton?
That feels like a poll question. Do you know what a Triton is?
Do you know what a Triton is? A son of Poseidon, described as a demigod of the sea, with the lower part of his body of that like of a fish.
So it's a merman.
It's a merman. So their logo is like a pitchfork. So they've gone a large mollusk, which has a spiral shell with a large aperture, living in tropical and subtropical seas.
Okay. It doesn't. I think a Wolverine is scarier than that. if you're just going off of scary mascots, a Triton doesn't do much there. A mollusk.
Yeah.
Hard to respect the mollusk.
Well, that's true. They're not really threats to you. Most mollusks aren't anyway.
I have never been threatened by a mollusk.
Full question. Have you ever been threatened by a mollusk? Okay, Schaefer, before we let you go, but we still have a week to spring ball here, so there's not going to be hardly any football talk on the show this week, which I'm actually kind of excited about. But is there anything we need to be keeping an eye on before it starts next week?
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything that you need to keep an eye on. I thought last Tuesday was full of some interesting conversations. I enjoyed that we got to hear from Deshaun McCullough and Dane Key, Rocco Spindler. I appreciated just transparency of here's a list of guys that are going to be wearing yellow jerseys. You don't have to spend your first day of practice running around writing all the names down and then wondering if you missed one or not. Here's literally everybody we got that's not going to be available or is limited, as we know right now. And so it's kind of a long list, and
it is.
You can see why they would be a little hesitant about trying to play a spring game with a few offensive linemen, with 4 notable guys that are unavailable. And so I kind of understood a little bit more based on hearing some of those names that were out. I don't know if there's someone in there where it's like, oh man, they're really missing a big opportunity in front of them. but I was kind of surprised. I don't know that I knew Henry Lutovsky was going to miss spring. It feels like he would be in a pretty big competition, depending on what they want to do with Justin Evans or some of those other guys inside, like where people get moved around now that you have Rocco Spindler. But it's going to be an interesting spring. Like, I don't know that we're going to have a very complete picture of what Nebraska football is at the end of spring. And I don't know that you ever do, but I think sometimes you have the framework and you can fill out the rest of it. This, I think we're going to kind of be sort of, I don't know if guessing is the right word, but we're going to kind of trying to piece it together all the way into fall camp, which is a little different than I thought we were at last year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. A lot to learn, a lot to figure out with this group during spring ball. All right, Schaefer, appreciate it as always. Enjoy the tournament and watch out for those mollusks. They'll get you.
Yeah, I feel like now I've just opened myself up for a surprise mollusk attack. So we'll see if they make their way to Lincoln.
See you later.
Yeah.
Like Schaefer, Husker 247. He's got some recruiting updates on the site. As of now, BC's all over the basketball. Brunson's all over the baseball.
4 poll questions from that one interview.
Yeah, go ahead. Fire them away, Josh.
Is bacon infallible?
Yeah, no.
Do you know what a Triton is? I was typing and sending respect the mollusk ? When have you ever been threatened by a mollusk?
Yeah, I like that one better.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that. We'll still use it, though.
Yeah.
It's all out there. All right, please vote. It's very important. At Happer Show on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Josh will bring you the odd news after this on 1620 The Zone.
Upon further review, the host's last statement was deemed to be somewhat comical. Somewhat. The Connor Happer Show returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
All right, Josh. It's been a long time since I've heard the odd news. Did you odd news yourself?
I did. They were longer stories, so I could just kind of read the story.
Okay.
And everyone would laugh in their car. I don't know if it worked or not.
I'm sure they were laughing hysterically.
Oh, and we updated people on Bill Belichick, who has told the North Carolina staff to CC his girlfriend on all of his emails because she keeps his schedule.
Interesting.
And I said, what man among us doesn't have their schedule just Rolodexed in their wife's head?
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I don't know if he wants that, though.
Yeah. Seems kind of weird to do that right out of the gate, but whatever. Rick Pitino. He won the Big East Championship Saturday night.
Yeah, and?
I want to kill myself, jump in the cold, and die of frostbite.
Question right out of the gate. How do you plan to celebrate tonight?
I'm going to drink a quart of Jameson.
That's really it. I mean,
that's a great story.
Yeah.
It's a great story. I'm glad he said that. And I generally like the guy.
It was just a way for us to work in the Rick Pitino impression.
He seems to have an awareness about, like, these guys want to hear me say something. You know,
I'm gonna give him a quote. I'm Rick Pitino.
So funny.
Rick just finished up a tight 20 minutes on Pat McAfee's show.
Oh yeah, I went from his world famous office
That's
desk
right. with the 1,000 remotes.
The 1,000 remotes, including the one giant remote. I wonder if he had any more words to say about my dear friend Mark Pope.
No words about
excellent
Mark Pope.
job for Big Blue Nation.
But I do see a quote here. The first year is about building culture and hard work.
Yeah.
The second year you've established that culture. This one means the most to me because this is my home.
That's right. Yeah. The guy loves it.
Yeah.
He's very, very New York. Very New York.
Earlier this year, we told you the story of the Michigan judge who sentenced Walmart shoplifters to wash cars in the parking lot. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I remember this.
Well, another judge in the state of Michigan has said, not so fast, my friends. Can't do that. Don't do that. Punish them instead. The unusual sentence came from Judge Jeffrey Cloutier, who has been on the 67th District Court for only a few months. He said having shoplifters give Walmart customers free car washes would serve the community and discourage other people from stealing. But Chief Judge William Crawford II overruled him.
Let me guess. He probably said, I don't really love that precedent.
I don't love indentured servitude.
Yeah.
Saying the junior jurist first should have sought approval from him and other court officials. This is especially true where the proposed alternative punishment deviates from the usual and accepted methods. Walmart washes will not be taking place.
Have you ever heard of don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness?
Yeah, that's what
young
Judge
Judge
Jeff was doing. Yeah.
Now I'm just imagining young Judge and old Judge. Young Judge just was trying to do something he thought was right. Or she.
I'm frustrated, young Judge said. That's a good ABC. Get on that. That's an hour-long drama.
The young Judge.
The young Judge.
Now, how about Judge Child? Judge Baby?
Baby Judge?
Like, just imagine, not a baby, but like a 12-year-old or something. And they have full approval and
like
autonomy to do whatever they want from old Judge.
Situation.
Yeah.
I'm frustrated. I'm still going to try and come up with a creative way to solve this problem. I had 37 new Walmart theft offenses 2 days ago. In the last month, it's been well over 100.
How many cars got washed?
Maybe.
Or did they ever get to sentencing?
Maybe just tell the Walmart to be better at security. Have we tried that? Like, I understand Walmart kind of has a policy where it's like, don't chase them. We're Walmart. We're fine. But
which is why people steal from Walmart.
Yeah. Finally, I'd like to tell you a tale of a blossoming love story between Ian Eagle and Bill Raftery.
Oh, okay.
Kevin Harlan may be the undisputed king of ad reads, but even he has his limits, right? Eagle wasn't exactly delivering a rousing product plug, though. Instead, he was setting up the CBS AT&T halftime show, talking about the teams that have already punched their ticket to the big dance. But something felt a little outdated about the punching of a ticket to the big dance. Eagle quipped, "We may have to change the nomenclature because nobody punches a ticket anymore. You just scan a QR code." To where Bill Raftery said, "The older people still do it the old way." And Eagle responded, "You're the only person in America still printing your boarding pass."
Dude, I've been in some airports the last couple of days.
You have.
Wrong.
Oh, wow.
People are doing this crap.
I didn't ask my mother. My mother recently went to Hawaii, and she is not a frequent traveler. I guarantee she printed a boarding pass.
You need two things to fly. You need your telephone and your ID. That's it. You just get on the plane. They'll take you.
Yeah.
They'll take you. I'd also like to give a shout out to our dear friends from TSA PreCheck. Lovely, lovely thing. I'm not going to go full Rothstein, TSA PreCheck, life-changing, or whatever he says, but let me tell you, you're flying through big airports, that stuff is beautiful.
What was your big airport of choice in New York?
LaGuardia.
Okay.
Yep. Nice now.
It's okay. I've heard this about LaGuardia.
It's not dirty anymore.
Okay. They've changed
clean.
LaGuardia.
Nice and clean. In TSA PreCheck, that line was working. Josh, thanks.
Thank you, Connor.
That is the odd news. Speaking of broadcasters, I have a couple stories to tell you from over the weekend when we return. We'll talk about the Mavs, the bracket entirely, how the hell North Carolina got into the tournament. And,
have you seen their jerseys?
And plenty more coming up in the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
He does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
The Omaha Food Fight, presented by Union Bank and Trust, is live. It's not on the air, but it's on the internet. Much like your boarding pass is if you go on a plane.
Very simple.
The round of 64 in the Omaha Food Fight, presented by Union Bank and Trust, is underway. I was voting through this morning. I will not disclose my votes, of course, because...
Yeah, you don't want to influence.
Nope, I would not. But let me just say that there are some tough decisions to be made.
There's going to be a lot of hurt feelings.
There's some Omaha legacy restaurants going up against Omaha legacy restaurants. There's some new kids on the block who people have really come to enjoy with tough first round matchups. And so we want you to carry whichever restaurant you'd like all the way down to, well, into the next round, into the next round, into the next round. The field will cut in half after Wednesday. So through Wednesday, vote on the round of 64. And then we will start doing the round of 32 all the way through the end of the weekend, starting Thursday through the end of the weekend. So we'll be down to 16 by Monday of next week.
Just like the basketball tournament.
Just like the basketball tournament. The Omaha Food Fight, presented by Union Bank and Trust, is live now at 1620thezone.com. Josh, I saw Gus Johnson in the bathroom on Saturday.
Whoa, it is 12:04. How are you just now sharing this detail with me?
I don't know. So I saw Jimmy first, Jim Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so it was after half, right? So it was 28-23 and kind of, it was getting testy, right? There was some stuff going on out there. Jim Jackson was walking around. I was like, are you having fun yet? And he was like, oh no, man, I'm good. I'm about to get out of here after this and smoke a cigar.
Okay.
I'm like, dude, that's cool. And then Jim Jackson and Gus Johnson were both in the bathroom, and Gus Johnson was chiding Jim Jackson about how nice his suit was.
Oh.
He's like, these young bucks trying to show us up out here. Stuff like that. Gus,
I think of Gus as the snazzy dresser.
Gus quipped that he appreciated how the first half was being officiated.
Okay.
He said that. Because he's an old school basketball guy.
Sure.
And he liked that it was physical, I think. Like that it was physical out there.
That's Big East basketball, right?
That's Big East basketball. So he liked it when, the ball goes up and it hits the back of the rim, and then dudes start pushing each other and punching each other, doing whatever it is. But he mentioned how he appreciated that. More people come up to Gus Johnson and in the bathroom or outside the bathroom, waiting in line for the bathroom. That's kind of just messing with him and stuff like that. Gus has quite the presence. I've been around Gus a little bit before, but not at halftime of a fiery conference championship game in Midtown Manhattan. So that was different.
Gus Johnson height.
He's probably my height.
Okay.
I'm like 5'8", 9, 10, somewhere in that range. I'm short king.
That I envisioned something less than 6 feet. Yes.
Yeah. He's not. And I saw Jimmy had a picture from before where he went up to Ty Davis and was like, "What's up, player?" Or whatever it was. It's pretty good. Gus, like I said, Gus has the presence to do these things. Now, Gus does not do very many Big East basketball games anymore.
He does not.
And it's a shame that we don't get America's grandpa, Bill Raftery, to do the weekend because in his contract, he's Fox in the weekdays and CBS on the weekends. So he shoves off to Indianapolis after, I'm sure, enjoying some beverages after Thursday night. And he's like, all right, I guess I'll go to Indianapolis tomorrow.
Get some Big Ten pilled now.
And do the Big Ten games. But, yeah, So, and I didn't get a chance to bump into Spike Lee.
Sad. Now that's a short king.
Security wouldn't have let me anywhere near that. Probably.
Probably.
They would have manhandled me like they did Charles Oakley that one time. But yeah, common. Just I saw after the game, after the Saturday game, after the Big East Championship, I rode the elevator down with guess who? Matt Abdelmassih.
Oh.
Yeah. He says he I was, like, congrats, whatever. And he's like, man, the Huskers really fell off. And but not in like a derogatory way.
Yeah.
He was clearly a little disappointed about it. But he was cool because his team had just won a Big East championship. And then I saw him on the selection show directly behind Rick Pitino. The guy's kind of everywhere.
Wow.
Apparently he had some a big surgery relatively recently where he on his neck, where
neck surgery.
Yeah, like tiger style or whatever he had, except for with the neck. You don't want to hear about dudes getting neck surgery.
No, that sounds awful.
Yeah,
you need your neck.
Yeah. I don't know what the exact details of it were, but that was another one of the things that the St. John's president said to me. I don't know how me and the St. John's president became friends.
I love this.
He got up there at the end and cut down the net. They loved him, and then they put up the logo on the screen in MSG for Louis.
Lou Carnesecca.
Yep.
Same number of Big East tournament wins as Greg McDermott.
Yeah. Well, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he's not the president. It wasn't this guy. This guy is more.
Did he just say he was the president?
No,
he was
clearly like a father.
Okay.
Gosh, I don't know what I would Google to get there. They were calling him Father Rock. Father Rock.
I would start with that. I'd start Googling that.
Richard Rock. What a name.
Father Richard Rock.
Father Richard Rock. He is the minister for athletics. What? That's a guy. Now, but here's a guy. Father Rock. Father Rock got up on that ladder, cut that net down, started swinging it around. Father Rock probably ended up on the New York Post the next day. What's so funny, Josh? Father Richard Rock is a funny thing to you?
Daddy Dick Rock standing on the
Okay,
ladder.
all right. Of course, Josh. Sicko. We're going to lose our title of being the least horny show.
You got to give me one.
All right. So that was. I'm sure there were more experiences and run-ins in New York, and they'll come up over periods of time. I will say, getting up early, as I did on both Thursday and Saturday and Sunday to fly across the country. Don't do that. Just go a day early and take the afternoon flight and get another day at the hotel. You'll be better for it.
Yeah.
That's
good advice from you.
I mean, Thursday I was going off of pure adrenaline, because there was a game that night, and it happened to be a double overtime game and all of those things. And then there was a UConn game afterwards,
That's right.
After the double overtime game. That
tipped at like 9:30 Eastern or something.
Oh,
like
it was
that.
later than that.
Oh, yeah.
And I, at one point I'm like, okay, because we didn't get out of there until super late. And at one point I'm like, I'm pretty damn close to 24 straight hours of being just awake.
Oh, wow.
This entire time. But no better city to do it in than New York.
It's the city that never sleeps.
The city that never sleeps. The city's so nice they named it twice. Sometimes you get to talk to your dear friend Josh Hodson on the steps of a train station with a bunch of pigeons.
Many times we talked.
Many pigeons. Many pigeons, Josh.
Many.
And I'd like to put it out there, just somebody, Josh, is telling people that I went to lunch at Panda Express.
I was just analyzing the photographic evidence.
There is no photographic evidence of this.
I got it wrong, but
of course you got it wrong. This is how rumors get started, and it is inappropriate because then I walk into the office this morning and Nick Grimm just goes off of the things that he sees on the internet, and he's like, "You went to lunch at Panda Express?" And I'm like, No. Is this something that people are saying? Are you hearing this on the internet? No. That was just my view of NY Pizza Suprema on Friday morning, I think.
They got to have better branding.
And across the street, that was across in the entirety of 33rd Street, I think, in New York. Maybe it was 7th or 8th. It was 8th Avenue. Got all my streets. That was just looking across 8th Avenue in New York City, and across the street, yes, there was a Panda Express. That is directly catty-cornered to Madison Square Garden, or one of the entrances of Madison Square Garden. And yet I have to get, asked a bunch of questions about how I went to Panda Express for lunch. That's something that I did not do. So I wanted to put it out there that I did not go to Panda Express for lunch. Don't put it on the internet that I went to Panda Express for lunch. I went to NY Pizza Suprema.
I have an update on this West Virginia press conference with Governor Morrissey.
Thank you.
They have made a sign for the front of the lectern that says,
"Oh no, I'm looking at it.
National Corrupt Athletic Association."
In like NCAA handwriting.
Yeah, I don't know what they're saying, but
the West Virginia Governor's News Conference has started. His podium says National Corrupt Athletic Association. Governor Patrick Morrissey calls West Virginia's snub a, quote, miscarriage of justice and robbery at the highest level. At the highest
robbery
level?
At the highest level. The highest level.
And corruption? Corruption? Collusion? What is this? Is this correct? I don't think so.
I mean, that's what they're saying. It's not correct.
It's a very bold and incorrect claim. All right. So on the bracket, we can talk about West Virginia. Teams who got left out of the NCAA, like it's always so funny to me because in the majority of the season, we talk about how the bubble sucks, right?
That's
right.
Right.
If you're on the bubble, there's nobody to blame but yourself. But at the end of the day, they're going to get split into two. Teams that get in and teams that don't get in. And the team that got in was pretty interesting. North Carolina makes the field. They did challenge themselves in the non-con, as you do when you are North Carolina. But I am, you may have heard this stat over the last 15, 16 hours. They went 1-12 in quad one. Did you notice when they put up the resume for North Carolina that they said what their record was in quad one and quad two?
Oh.
They did not mention their quad one only record.
Biased media.
Quad one and in quad two. And as I pull up North Carolina right now, who finished 36th, I think, in the net, by the way, which is ahead of many NCAA tournament teams. If you look at their team sheet, they did not lose a single game in quad two. They went 8-0 in quad two. But who were those games against,
What's
Josh?
the big deal?
SMU, Dayton, Wake Forest, Florida State on the road is somehow a quad one win. Pitt, Notre Dame, NC State, and Syracuse. Did I name any NCAA tournament teams just then?
Oh, God.
The answer is no.
Okay.
0.
Sad.
So they went 8-0 in quad two, and then they have the gall to put up on the screen that they went 9-12 in quad 1+2. But each of their 8 wins that came from quad two were not against NCAA tournament teams.
It's not their fault that the ACC sucks.
Well, they did have a neutral site win against UCLA, which just so happened to take place on December 21st, which I don't know if you knew this, Josh. That was a long time ago.
Imagine losing to UCLA.
If I am Indiana and West Virginia, I'm probably not suing the NCAA for corruption, but I am losing my mind a little bit. It's a bit confounding. It's a bit confounding how North Carolina got into the NCAA tournament. I know there's a lot of Tar Heels fans around here. What do you have to say for yourselves? This is a zombie skeleton North Carolina.
It's just the brand, right? We're just putting the brand in the tournament.
I mean, I think so.
That's what we're doing, right?
I think so. I mean, that's really the only conclusion I could have. Now, like I heard Jerry Palm was talking about this last night on the bracket show on CBS Sports Network.
Jay Palm.
And he like he had them on the bubble. He had them as one of the first 4 teams out. But he also said, I don't see the case. What's the case here? So we're talking about a matter of 3 or 4 spots, between, they're in and I don't have a case, right? So those are 2 very, very different conversations, but I didn't think that they belonged in the NCAA tournament. They do get in. And as many people mentioned on the selection show and afterwards last night, this indeed has no bearing on what they will do when they get to the NCAA tournament. The responsibility of the committee is to try to find the most deserving teams that belong in the NCAA tournament, not the teams that they think, based on predictive metrics, that will advance in the NCAA tournament. I think that's probably one of the things that, did North Carolina well here, right? The predictive metrics are great, and they're North Carolina. And so what happens when they get into a play-in game and then, get to play a 6 or whatever it is in the next game? Are they going to beat San Diego State and Dayton? Are they going to beat Ole Miss in the next round? Would you be surprised at all if you saw it happen? No, I wouldn't. But that is not what the committee is here for. Also, the committee is here for putting 14 SEC teams into the NCAA tournament.
That's a lot.
LSU and South Carolina were the only 2 teams in the SEC to not make the big dance. Oklahoma and Texas, who notably did get in. Oklahoma as a 9 seed. And Texas
comfortably in.
And Texas in as a play-in team. They each went 6-12 in the SEC. That is a combined 12-24 in conference. Doesn't make it sound any better or worse, but they both went 6-12 in the league. It's not really about the conference that you play in, but when you have admittedly great depth in the league, because this is what they always say, right? They say, the bracket defenders or the NCAA defenders. Like I heard Seth Davis last night. He's always been an NCAA defender. Expand the tournament and do all these things.
He said, just real quick.
Go ahead. Throw me a Seth Davis line.
He said people are going to apologize to him. They're going to write letters of apology when this tournament expands and becomes great.
How much more in the bag can you be?
Let me tell you, I know a little something about sticking onto a bit a little longer than you're supposed to.
Nice.
That guy has painted himself in this corner, and he doesn't know what to do.
I mean, he is NCAA man at this point. But one of the things that he'll say, or people like him will say, is we're doing this whole SEC thing, and people immediately point to conference bias and whatever. But it's not about what conference you're in. It's about the teams that you play, who you beat, who you lose to, and where. That's how the metrics are created. And he's right. But it doesn't make sense out of context. When you're in the SEC, you're in the SEC, which means there is no chance that you could have a bad loss. That's what the NCAA said this year. That's what the committee said this year. You can't have a bad loss when you're in the SEC because of what they did out of conference. They lost. I don't know how many games the entire conference lost out of conference in the non-con this year, but you could probably count them on one hand. It wasn't a lot.
I'm looking at Texas's schedule right now, and it's 1. They lost to UConn.
Right. I mean, it wasn't. There wasn't a whole lot of SEC teams that just lost to anybody out of conference. And so when you play in a league that has admittedly great depth, it absolutely does, and it has a couple of the best teams in the country and a few, at least, national champion contenders. The bubble teams are incapable of taking bad losses because they're just not available for you. And then that plays out, and it hurts other conferences. And this is all based on things that happen in November and December. It's a fundamental problem, I think, with the metrics and the way that they sort of work. But it's also at the same time the only thing that we have to compare the conferences by. But when one conference goes on a tear that the SEC did in non-conference play, it's going to end up looking like this at the end of the year. And once again, this is not to say that Auburn is overrated or that Alabama is overrated or that Tennessee is overrated or that Florida is overrated or whatever. It's like, I don't think it's about those teams. These teams in the middle and toward the back that made the NCAA tournament somewhat unexpectedly, like Oklahoma and Texas, are clearly beneficiaries of what their conference did out of conference. And then it hurts other conferences. Like I said, the second place team in the Big East got a 9 seed. The second best team in the ACC got an 8 seed. The champion of the Big Ten tournament got a 5.
Ooh.
Like, just because of what happened in the non-con with the non-con strength of schedule and the teams that the SEC teams beat. It's like, doesn't that seem a little flawed to you? Doesn't that process seem a little flawed? And once again, we take this and we say, oh, it's bias. It's not bias. Like, they're going off of what the numbers tell them. The formula is pretty damn clear, right? They're going to look at the metrics and basically grade them all out. But the metrics are good to great because that's what the metrics are based off of. And that's how you get that high of a standing. Remember the back of the day with it's the same thing with, like, you look at Nebraska baseball right now and forget conference record. But whatever you are in the RPI, like right around this time of year, after you've gotten done with your non-conference and you go into your conference season and spend a couple weekends there, it's going to be hard to get out of that zone. It's going to be hard to make a major jump unless you just rip off 5, 10, 15 games in a row. And that's what it is, because as many analysts have mentioned this year, the SEC went 500 against each other this year. Mm-hmm. That's how it works at every conference, right?
I don't want to spoil what he's going to do, but Nick has a story this week about a college baseball team who is top 3 in the RPI, and they're 8-13, but they've played the number 7 team in the country, the number 25 team in the country, the number 1 team in the country, the number 12 team in the country, the number 2 team in the country. They're getting their brains beat in, but they're...
Will you play?
Yep.
So then there was also this. You ever heard of shot quality, Josh?
I have heard of it.
So shot quality on top of, being a thing, like in a basketball game, shot quality, which you want better shot quality. It's also another metric that we sort of have based on the quality of shots teams get or give up. It sort of it attempts to take out the make or miss aspect of a basketball game, right? It's the quality of shots you get and how many times a shot like that you can expect to go in. Instead of making it a 50-50 make miss proposition, it attempts to predict how often you make a shot or whatever. So in the shot quality rankings, North Carolina was 23rd. Xavier was 24th. Texas was 27th. West Virginia was 64th. Indiana was 68th. Those are the top 2 teams that were left out of the NCAA tournament this year. It's a pretty big jump, right? Like, it's pretty clear what the committee, it's human. They watch basketball games and they're bunkered down, whatever. And I know they had the whole contingency plan for the Memphis UAB thing. But once again, keep in mind they had the bracket on Saturday night. It was done. And not that there was a whole lot that was going to change things on Sunday, but that goes to show you what winning a Big Ten championship did for Michigan. Literally nothing. They had the bracket on Saturday night. So they're looking at the metrics, or an average of the metrics.
Nerds.
And what the metrics will show is the better you perform in non-conference play and the better your conference performs in non-conference play. The best conferences are decided before conference season begins. When you look at it on a big picture across the entire sport. I find a flaw in that logic, but I can't find a flaw that isn't corrected by just watching the games and making it really, really, really subjective. And that's probably something that we don't want to do either.
Have we considered moving Selection Sunday to Christmas?
we could.
For ratings?
We could do that right now.
Who among us wouldn't sit with our families and pour over a bracket on the Christmas dinner table?
Uh-huh. Yeah, probably maybe a little too early. Maybe a little bit too early.
New Year's Day during the halftime of the college football playoff games?
Now you're cooking. I'm getting a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Jasker Todd writes in.
Hi, Jasker Todd.
I may have missed this, but how did Creighton finish the regular season at 2, went to the Big East Championship, and UConn got a better seed, as did Marquette, by the way.
5 seed in the Big East, Marquette.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Maybe they were helped out by the fact that, maybe the conference as a whole was helped out by the fact that, or Xavier was helped out by the fact that their conference looked the way it did. I don't have an answer to that question, but look at the non-con. Look at what Creighton was 7-5 at one point. They lost to Nebraska on their home floor.
People forget.
Right? So a lot of the stuff is just you either shake the reputation or you confirm the reputation that you have earned by the time New Year's rolls around. And I always thought nobody paid attention to college basketball before New Year's.
Yeah.
But this is the stuff that the
knows
tournament is based off of. And the bracket is based off. It's another reason why we get insanity in the NCAA tournament. Because there's really no way to know. Mm-hmm. And there's nobody that's in the right spot. So while on one point I'm like the West Virginia governor who's calling the NCAA corrupt or whatever, on the other hand, I'm like, this is beautiful. I'll take this, my sweet, sweet baby bracket.
Just give it to me. I don't care who's in it.
Yep. All right. Any thoughts on that? We'll take them. We'll be back after this here on 1620 The Zone. right, it's a big week here on 1620 The Zone.
Oh, yeah? What's going on?
Well, we got a bracket in our hands, which is fantastic. We got the games on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's right.
We're also giving away Omaha Supernovas tickets tomorrow.
What?
Don't call now. Call tomorrow. Listen to the shows tomorrow. The Novas are back in town this weekend on Friday. No. Look, for some reason, I'm looking at March of 2024.
That's probably not the schedule you want to be.
They're back in town on Saturday.
Saturday.
And each of the shows will have a pair of tickets to give away tomorrow on the show, so listen in for that. Is there any other reasons why this is a big week? Probably.
I mean, St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. Oh, yep. Almost forgot about that. Food fight.
Food fight going
Watch party.
on. Yeah, someone's getting a watch party.
Oh, yeah, we're doing stuff. We're doing stuff. It's a big week. Let's take a phone call here from the hotline. Here is John on the line. Hey, John, what's going on?
Yeah, hey, guys. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Rory McIlroy got it done in a playoff this morning. Nice St. Patrick's Day win for him.
Oh, Rory McIlroy. Well done on St. Patrick's Day. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they had to do a playoff because they lost daylight last night. So JJ Spawn versus Rory this morning. And JJ, you know, he didn't quite have his fastball, and Rory kind of got after him. But it was still kind of cool to have some golf to start the day.
There you go.
But I was going to jump in. I just got a little bit of your take there on how they seeded this thing, and I think that's a pretty good take. I think it's wild that there's a couple of teams in the SEC that had that kind of miserable tournament or conference record and, you know, made the dance. That's kind of unprecedented. But, you know, I was just thinking a couple comments on Creighton. They probably got what they got. You know, I think it does show you how eking out another 1 or 2 wins, either through the conference season or, you know, in the non-con kind of takes you off that 8-9 line, and all of a sudden you're 7-10 line, and maybe you get a 2 seed in the second round if you get past Chucky Hepburn and company, which will be entertaining. So, you know, those games they all matter. But one thing that I thought, I don't know if you caught it, is did you see John Fanta's interview with Rick Pitino after the Big East was over?
Yes, I believe so. John Fanta does many interviews, and so does Rick Pitino these days, but I think I caught that one.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was really good. It was like 2 minutes long. I just thought the thing I latched onto at the end was a couple things. One, Rick was just talking about how they made great progress forward as a program this year. They won the regular season title. They won the tournament title, and he felt like they laid a foundation, and he was excited about that. And then he just kind of said, you know, when you get to the dance, he goes, I've been to 7 Final Fours, and I've been bounced in the first round, and you just don't know what's going to happen. So there's a lot of luck that goes into it. And obviously, you know, if you're a good team, you got a better chance than if you're a bad team. I get that. But it's just kind of interesting how these coaches look at building their programs, and then how we look at, like, what they accomplish once the big dance comes along and how important that is to us. You know, it's obviously important to them too, but, like, you know, you just can't count your chickens. And it'll be interesting to see what Creighton does. And, you know, hopefully UNO keeps it competitive with St. John's on Thursday night. So that's what I have.
John, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I think it's there is a huge disconnect there. There is a huge disconnect. And I don't think it's not because of anything that we're doing wrong. Like, when your team makes the NCAA tournament and they underperform expectations, maybe you're a 5 and you're supposed to at least win a game. You know, or maybe you're a 3 and you're supposed to be in the Sweet 16 and then you don't end up there. You get bounced, or maybe you're a 2 and you lose to a 15, or you lose your second game and you don't end up getting to that second weekend. You know, obviously coaches are angry about that. They're not happy about that if it happens, because it probably means that they didn't play a game well enough, but they know going into any game that if they don't hook it up, if they don't play well, they will lose. Or sometimes that it's out of your control. You know, I think there was a lot of stuff that Creighton could have done, obviously, in the second half of that game to make it a little bit closer. They turned the ball over too much. They missed free throws throughout the game, and So they're probably kicking themselves for that. And obviously they could have tightened up on defense. They ran out of gas. But St. John's, you ain't beating them if they're shooting like that. If they're missing 4 shots in the second half.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Like, okay, I can depend on this team to like maybe not make shots,
and that's why Creighton stayed in it in the first half. That's why they were leading by 3 at halftime. So you don't know. Maybe a team comes out and they make 15 threes against you, and you get bounced. Well, and then people will start saying stuff about coaches, and they'll say this guy can't win in the NCAA tournament. Why does it keep happening year after year after year after year? I mean, it's one of the things that's. Frankly, it's validated Creighton as a program over the last several here. It is a better program, and I think their success is reflected in their NCAA tournament success. But I think Mac probably maybe didn't. You can expect to go to the Elite Eight the year that they did, but now you look back on it and you're like, that was actually our one chance to win the national championship. We could have won the national championship.
Looking back on it, because they would have played.
Would have been UConn, right?
It would have played FAU
or
in the Final Four
FAU
and
then
UConn
UConn
in the title game.
Yeah.
And like you'd have a puncher's chance against UConn. You own UConn.
You own UConn.
You dunk on them literally and figuratively.
Right? So you're thinking about foul calls and all that stuff, and
actually makes that game worse.
Yeah.
So much worse.
There's definitely a disconnect. I mean, even like I said earlier, they just got done, getting their brains beat in the second half by St. John's, and I'm like, hey, this weekend, he has the ability to. Mac does. He can really articulate, I think, the big picture well. He's like, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get better, and how we get better is we need dudes who are not named Stephen Ashworth and Ryan Kalkbrenner to be consistent players for us and tough players and guys that we can depend on. And what he got out of the weekend was exactly that. They went 2-1. They lost in the final. They still don't have a Big East title, but they feel like they're better positioned as a program. They took a step forward as a program because of what happened. And I agree with him, right? But at the end of the day, that's why UConn fans can say we got 2 rings, buddy. You can say whatever you want. Say, I don't care what you do. Dunk on us at the end of the game. That's fine. We got 2 rings. You own us. 9-3. I don't care. Hang a banner. Do whatever you got to do. We got 2 rings. That's, that's the stuff that we talk about a little bit more probably than the coaches do. Another quick call here from Jason on the hotline. Hey, Jason, what's going on?
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
UConn's a 2-time defending champion, and it really wasn't talked about much this year just because they lost everybody. We do, I think we do own them, and Coach Mack is he's done a great job at Creighton. I think he's a top 5 coach in the nation for what he's done here. And you're right. I've been telling people for the past 2 years, we could have won a national title if we hadn't choked against San Diego State, because that Final Four was easily winnable. And I'm still disappointed that we lost Nemhart and Kaluma, because if they would have stayed, I think we would have got one. And they left, and it is what it is. But Creighton is definitely on the map. They know who we are in Madison Square Garden. They know who we are on the East Coast, and we just got to get a 5-star All-American in here, and I know Coach Matt can do the rest.
All right, Jason, appreciate the call. We got any 5-star All-Americans on the hook?
I don't know who is going to play for Creighton next year.
They got my close personal friend Hudson Greer.
Hudson Greer.
Yeah. He had a cool Letterman's jacket a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
When he was at the game.
Okay.
He's throwing out T-shirts to the people.
Was that the Butler game?
Yes.
Okay, I saw that guy walking around.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I saw
tall skinny guy.
Yeah. I saw a guy in a Letterman's jacket walking around with his dad, and I go, "That's a cool Letterman's jacket."
Yeah, they'll get some dudes in the transfer portal.
Sure.
I don't know, man. Like you never know if you're a program like them and you're gonna have the opportunity to make a run. Sometimes you get,
any of these kids from Papio South, West Side, Millard North coming.
think back to the year that they lost to K-State in the first round. Guess who lost right in front of them? Virginia. UMBC was sitting there.
Virginia.
Yeah, it could have gone even further than that, right? So it's all about, you need some luck. You need a lot of luck. You want to be one of the best teams in the country, but you need a lot of luck when you get there. Now we have another caller on the hotline here. It's once again frequent caller to the show, caller Damon. Hello, caller Damon.
Let's not get carried away. Not frequent.
Well, I mean, 2 in a week is pretty frequent.
Well, you keep saying these inflammatory things, C-Hap.
Hey, your team should not have made the NCAA tournament.
I told Josh you better not be a chump, and so you just go all in, huh? You could have softened the entry.
You know this. You know. I don't know how they got in, but they did. Wait
a minute. What do I know? What do I know?
They're not good.
They're not good.
That's it. That's it.
Stop. Oh, okay. Fine. I don't want to defend Carolina because there's this part I can't stand Hubert Davis. So I feel like
you're like, all right, if he leaves, then we're going to be in better shape.
So I was kind of cool either way, but I did feel like they gave a legit explanation.
Yeah, the contingency if the Memphis UAB
they were
thing.
Like a placeholder, and if UAB won, then Memphis was going to get in, which. Okay, that's fine. So the real question is, because it's not one of these years, I felt like the seedings were terrible. It's a lot like I felt about college football expansion. We did it too quick, so we screwed up the seedings. The methodology on the number of teams, cool. How you seed them needs more work. That's kind of how I feel about college basketball, right? I love it's the first time I've heard the angle of the non-con versus the conference play, the way you simplified it, because I think when you look at the disparity in the seed lines, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's kind of why I like Connor. That was actually a good point. I don't know if I would have said it, but it was still a good point, right?
Yeah, thank you.
So,
wow.
No, that's it. That's it for the kindness.
Okay.
That's it. I'm still Team Josh. But
what is it? It's me versus Josh? Is this like a
no?
Are we Skip Bayless and Stephen A?
You don't want to make an enemy out of me, Happer.
So it's like varying degrees. I like both of you guys.
That's good.
But so basically, I love the whole seed line thing is a different discussion, and it's a good one, and it's one in which I may steal from you tomorrow, but I would give you credit, unlike a lot of people on 1620. But having said that, C-Hap, if the only real argument is between like Carolina and West Virginia,
right? Exactly.
It's not like 5 other teams, right?
I'm with you. Yeah, it's like you're dealing with teams who have obvious gigantic holes in their resumes, and at the end of the day, you kind of had to pick 1 or 2 or whatever. I don't know how Oklahoma got a 9. You know that's
a travesty,
right?
Like that's a if Texas, Xavier, and who else? Carolina. If these guys are playing games, Oklahoma's a 9.
Right. Doesn't make any sense.
Like I that's as bad as. I mean, Texas has got 15 losses, right? That was Robbie's big thing, and I get it. I hear him. You see 15, and you're like, that's brutal. But how about 6 conference wins?
I know 6 and 12. Both Oklahoma and Texas went 6 and 12 in the league.
So, and they got a 9.
And they got a 9. And Louisville got second in their league and second in the conference tournament, and is in the top 10 in the AP and got an 8.
Listen, I'm telling you, I'm an ACC honk. Louisville's good.
Yeah.
Louisville's good.
Yeah.
But, and you know what's funny about Louisville? Chucky's not even their best on-the-ball defender.
Yeah.
They have 2 elite level on-the-ball defenders. Now, it's a great matchup for Creighton because
Kalkbrenner.
if Creighton plays through the post. Because Louisville will foul. but those guys are going to shoot 55 threes between the two of them.
Yeah, and they're gonna push up on the guards too.
Yeah. So Chucky on Ashworth is. It's a great thing that Ashworth is in elite level shape because.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get chased.
That is going to be sensational. But I will say this: Louisville will take a couple of mid ranges. I wonder if Mac will tinker with how he plays ball screens because they're going to dial from distance. And I know he likes drop coverage, but they got some rim runners too. So that game within the game will be sensational. I'm pretty happy that it's the first game too. How about that?
I know, it's great. It's be right after I watch the episode of Price is Right that I watch every year.
It sucks without Bob. Are you still rolling with Price is Right?
Only for that one day every single year for like the 15 minutes before the tournament starts.
He's not funny.
No, Drew Carey is bad.
Oh, I'll say, so now I have two things because I know you don't take yourself that seriously either. Are skinny people less funny than big people? Because I feel like heavier Drew Carey was funnier than little Drew Carey.
Yeah, there's probably something to that. If a fat guy loses weight, they become less.
Yeah, guys with lollipop heads are not
The
funny.
aura goes away a little bit.
Wait, a what?
A lollipop head.
What?
It just this big head on a tiny body. It looks like a lollipop.
Who says that? The other thing is, do you take into account if somebody's hurt or not?
Do I think they should or do I?
Do you?
I wouldn't. No. I wouldn't. Like as far as seeding is concerned?
Yeah, so you honestly look at West Virginia without DeVries the same as with.
No, that it's not necessarily that, but it's the fact that they use that and he's been hurt for 3 months.
But what about Gibson at Iowa State?
Yeah. I mean, I get like, see, I don't view them as one player heavy. Like when you think about West Virginia, you probably think about Tucker, I don't know if it's, I don't know if
and Iowa State has played without a lot of their dudes before.
Right. That's
what about Nelson at Bama?
Yep, that's another one too. People aren't talking about. I mean, doesn't necessarily matter for them because they got a 2 when everybody's fine with it.
So I constantly vouch for you. Not that you need it because you do good work by yourself. But if you're right about Auburn being, I got the sense you think they're kind of fraudy. If you're right, I'm telling you, I will exalt you GOAT status because when they're playing well, they're incredible.
I just the teams who everybody sort of agrees, regardless of whatever holes there are, or what the resume says. And I'm not saying that the resume is bad or that the holes are significant, but like when I just don't love it when everybody looks at that team and they're like, oh yeah, that's for sure the team that's going to win the national championship or whatever. That's
how I feel about Florida, and I liked Florida before most other people did, and now I'm like, I don't like them anymore.
My team,
for no good reason.
My team that I've been on all year and that I think is going to win the national championship is Houston. I think they're the best team in the country.
They're incredible. I will not laugh at you over that. But you want a really good team that I would take the points whatever they are right now in the opener. Huss's team at High Point is really good.
It's going to be a trendy upset pick though.
Are they?
I think
all
so.
Right, then I'm out.
I think they're going to be them and UC San Diego are both going to be really trendy.
No, but listen, I'm a honk. UC San Diego's good.
Yeah, I know.
That's legit. That's legit.
Yeah.
And I still can't figure out how Michigan wins.
I know. They just win every game by a possession somehow. I don't understand it.
Listen, UC San Diego's legit.
Yeah.
Fanta has them in the Elite Eight.
Legit. And guess what else? Now that you're hating on Carolina, I lay the 3.5. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a run. Like I said earlier, it has no bearing on whether they can win games in the tournament, but it's just that they got in.
But that's not the kind of CDAP doesn't hedge.
No, it's not you. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see him win a game or two.
All right, buddy.
Good to talk to you, caller Damon.
If Bishop gave you some kudos, and he's tough. So if he likes you there and he thought you did good work, you must have really did good work.
Thank you, Damon. Good to talk to you.
Okay, bye, Josh.
Okay, bye. Love you.
Yeah, I should say a shout out to John, honestly.
For letting you tag along?
Yes. Seriously. I mean, I'm just there looking to make myself useful in any way possible.
You were just going to go, and then you're like, well, maybe I should do something.
Well, it was John's idea.
Because John can't get to the
Yeah. It was John's
interviews.
idea, and it worked,
Yeah.
right? So I'm just happy to help in any way.
Right place, right time, Happer.
Utility guy.
Yeah.
Whatever you ask me to do, I'll do it.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right, now we are far too late on a break, so we're going to have to do some smushing. So let's do that.
Let's smush.
We'll go to Sam McKewon on the other side here on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
The Connor Happer Show. Follow us on Twitter @Happer Show for all the latest news and views. We may even say something interesting once in a while.
Unlikely.
Really, guys?
Progressive understands that bond between you and your boat. But imagine if something happened to it. Without the boat, you're just Tina with too much boat knowledge. Sure, it's helpful on the water, but with no boat, you're someone who talks way too much about knots, and no one cares what a jib is anyway. Boat Tina could get away with it because she has a boat. So make sure your boat is insured. Get Progressive, America's #1 boat insurer, and then go back to being
Wow. Josh definitely didn't forget to put that in the log. That's why you just heard it just now.
Look, I played it. That's all that matters.
That's right. That's right. Sam McKewon joins us now via the hotline. Sam, good Monday afternoon to you. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you guys doing?
Good. What's your give us the Omaha World Herald plan for spreading out here for the NCAA tournament, both men's and women's?
Yeah, so we will be sending John Walker, obviously, to the Creighton site, which is Lexington, Kentucky, where they will play the Louisville Cardinals. Wilson Moore, who normally covers Nebraska basketball, maybe you heard they didn't make the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
We'll be following UNO to
Let's go.
Providence. And we will have a writer for the Creighton women's basketball team. Our online producer, Drake Keeler, who people probably remember, used to cover both the Nebraska and Creighton women's basketball teams. He'll be down in Austin, and then the Journal Star will be providing us excellent coverage from Fort Worth for Nebraska Louisville. Of the 4 teams, I think the Creighton women's basketball team has the best chance of winning its first round.
I was just gonna say, yeah, there's a variety of different outcomes that could happen because a lot of them are kind of bunched up in that 8-9 range, except for the Omaha team, obviously. But does anybody have a chance to get to the second weekend? Who has the best chance to get to the second weekend out of all of them?
The Creighton women, probably. They've done it. So have the Creighton men, but I think the Creighton women have the best chance of winning their first game. And then, you make shots, you can beat a lot of teams. And they're on the right night. The Creighton women's basketball team can make those shots, can beat those teams. I saw them do it against Iowa one year. And can they beat Texas? Yes, it would be a tall order. But can they do it? They can. I think the Creighton men, they have to get past the first game. And I think the team they're playing is good.
Yep.
And will be a challenge to play. If they get to the second round, could Ryan Kolkbrenner take away Janai Broom? He might be able to. And that may even things out a little bit, but Auburn's awfully athletic. They do some things very similar to St. John's, and I think St. John's has been a tough team for Creighton to play since Rick Pitino got there. And so, I wouldn't count on them beating Auburn. But honestly, they got to get through the first game first. I think that the Louisville matchup is a tough one, and Creighton's going to have to play its best to win.
And then the Mavs ending up, of course, with St. John's in their first game. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but it is an interesting one, and you got to go out to the East Coast, of course, to play them. I don't know what UNO was sort of hoping for, obviously a 15. But so cool for them to make the tournament and obviously be a part of this whole thing.
Yeah, I think internally they would have loved to have played Michigan State, just because Frankie's on that team. That would have been fun for everybody. St. John's is a challenging team. They're very physical. They're not a good shooting team. So there's a world where UNO jumps out to an early lead. A lot of teams have done that on St. John's, and gets people fired up for a half hour or so. I think over the course of a basketball game, St. John's cumulatively wears down its opponents, and by the fourth quarter, so to speak, the final 10 minutes of the game, it's just hard. And so I think UNO will could stick in there for a long time and probably has a chance to pull an upset. I don't see a lot of 15-2 upsets this year. A lot of times, what you're looking for when that happens is you're looking for an Ivy League team that has elite players that just decided they wanted to go to an Ivy League school and they don't have good metrics, but they're really good. Or you're looking for, and UNO does fit this bill, super athletic, kind of high-flying, high-scoring team. I just don't think St. John's is the team you want to play in that circumstance. I don't know that any of the 2 seeds are the teams you want to play. You want to get an Arizona, that's kind of sleepwalk through the first half of the game. And I just don't know that there's any of those teams on the 2 line this year. we'll see how it all shakes out. I think UNO's had an incredible season though, and couldn't really ask for more than being a 15 seed in the Big Dance.
Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald is with us. All right, let's talk a little bit of Nebraska football. They're still a week away from starting spring ball, but we heard from Rule last week, and I know you wrote about some of the things that he said. So the players specifically that were highlighted last week as well. And I came up with a very sports radio-y topic, and I'm going to bounce it off you now. Is 2025 a boom or bust season for Matt Rule at Nebraska?
Yeah, well, I think no, I don't think that. I don't think it's going to be 10 or 4. I do think that it's an extremely important season, though, to show progress from last year. This you could go 7-5 again and kind of tread water, but again, what Nebraska wants to do, especially with Dylan Raiola on campus, is climb the ladder. Another step each year. So progress this season would be 9-4. That's what progress would look like. Progress would be going into November with an outside chance of making the playoff. And we still don't exactly know how big it's going to be. It's probably going to be 12, but it could be 14, it could be 16. That would be progress. And so, putting yourself in contention when you get to the hardest part of your schedule. And the schedule gets, as you well know, pretty tough late. And so you have to be able to find a way to put yourself in position to do that. We'll see what happens. I think they're going to talk it. They're going to talk urgency. What you're going to hear from Rule is our roster's good enough. Our players are good enough. Everybody needs to step up. We're going to make decisions based on professionalism and production and not potential. We're taking off the training wheels. The training wheels are off. The culture is here. We're not doing that thing anymore. Dana Holgerson's here, and he is going to, chew rear end if you don't do what he wants you to do, and I'm going to chew rear end too. So that's, you can tell that they're moving past the, let's do the documentary era. I think maybe they'll have a documentary again. But I think they're moving past that sort of that era, and they're moving into, all right, now time to be a really good football team. And whatever that entails, winning a lot of games. I think that the game that last year that really, there were 2 last year that really got under their, really got into them, and that was Indiana and UCLA. I think Indiana took them to the woodshed, and UCLA, with Nebraska had a lot to play for, and they were flat, and UCLA was able to execute, and UCLA is not a very good football team. So, I think that was very frustrating. So I think those games really shed a light on how far Nebraska still had to come. And I think they're trying to make that jump this offseason.
I think I agree with you that it's unlikely for it to be 4 or 10, right? In that sense. But I wonder, with all this change, and you're going to end up trusting a lot of new players and putting a whole bunch of trust in some really good players, and also some definitively good coaches, offensive coordinator Dana Holgerson, obviously. I wonder what you think what is the size of the potential for oh boy, the wheels are falling off. I'm not predicting that it's going to happen, but I wonder what is the size of that pie for you in terms of the outcomes for Nebraska this year.
I'm not sure I'm ready to answer that question yet, because I kind of want to see some things go through spring ball, and I want to see where people are at. And I don't mean to dodge it, but I think where I'm at right now, I want to see what happens with Dylan Raiola's leadership and him taking a leap. And again, I know what I'm looking for there. And what I'm looking for is a guy who's got all the talent, and everybody knows that, but now he's ready to pull everybody up with him. And
the quarterback,
we'll see. Yeah. He's got to bring everybody up with him. And it can't be hey, we're all going to hang out and it's going to be fun. And hey, we're all good and we'll get it figured out. It's got to be, nope. When you start the season, the level of urgency and intensity has to be there from the jump. And last year, Nebraska had that for the Colorado game. I thought they were because they had a chip on their shoulder and they had vengeance in mind. Kind of had that with UTEP. Didn't really have it with Northern Iowa. Didn't have it against Illinois. They just when they had to dig deep last season, it was against Colorado and Wisconsin that they produced the energy.
Yeah.
And
need a little bleep you.
Yeah. And then they went to Iowa and they played incredible for a half. And dominated that half. And then the thing with the punt return. Which I'm sure if there was one play that Matt Rule could erase in the 2 years he's been there, that may be the one.
Wow.
I may ask him now.
Good
that
question.
might be the one. Because there were a couple moments at Michigan State the year before, because going to a bowl would have been a big deal in year one. I'm sure there's some moments in that Iowa game in year one that stung. Maybe it's the pass on third down against Maryland. That'd probably be the one I would pick.
Maybe it's the first game against Minnesota, the catch in the corner of the end zone. I mean, I don't know. But I'm with you on year two. Like, I just think the year two stuff was probably more indicative of what it's going to be like going forward, right? Like, that's the idea.
Yeah, and I just, that punt return was just such a ridiculous play on so many levels, and it was indicative of like the things that Nebraska still has to clean up. And so I think, we'll see what happens. I'm intrigued to see how things go. I just know that the urgency's been turned way, way up. Everything has been turned up, and there's a lot of expectation internally in that operation. And again, Pat Stewart has been brought aboard, and I think he's obviously an affable guy and likable and works with Matt Rule, but he's in there in part to make difficult decisions going forward. And I do feel like, they're going to have to get rid of the, we got 150 guys mentality, and don't we love having everybody out here for football? And that's gone. I mean, it's just going to be gone. So we'll see where it goes from here.
What do you think, how important in the leadership sort of structure, we're talking about Dylan Raiola, and I think Emmett Johnson's probably a part of that too, and you see those two together a lot. How about Rocco Spindler coming in and providing a voice right away? You got a little bit of the insight to sort of what he's all about last week. I mean, in Nebraska's wildest dreams, like, they knew that they were getting a starter on the offensive line when they went after him in the portal, but now it feels like you're getting a guy who's more important than just a starter on the offensive line.
Yeah, he's probably somebody who can be a leader for that offense. They need one. I think Dane Key's going to be a leader on the field. I don't know that I would describe him as super vocal, but, he said a few things. And of course, Dylan has to be that leader, as does Emmett. And so those are kind of the group leaders. And then at tight end, I suppose it's Harburg, Lindenmeyer. Those are the guys that you're going to look to, and a lot is expected of Harburg. So Spindler on the offensive line is probably the guy that's going to become the vocal guy. He certainly has played at a program where they know how to get it done. Notre Dame's a good team and a good program. And, he can walk into a room and say, yeah, I've been in places where things are done the right way and we win games. So again, nobody questions Nebraska's ability to build a culture, to have hardworking guys, to even be tough. It's really not about that. It's about a level of urgency, almost a jerkiness, just a level of not being able to put up with any kind of mediocrity, and then closing the deal.
Do you think?
And, closing the deal. The Iowa game was very frustrating to watch. I mean, to watch again, I did that recently, and that was very frustrating.
Do you think, man? Yeah, that's tough. Do you think that's in the, like, we saw Raiola's dad? He had a lot of that to him.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't feel like Dylan. Like it off of what we know about him so far, and obviously it's a new group, and he's surrounded by new things, and he's expected to grab a little bit more of that. But based off of what you sort of know about him and how he operates, is that bleep you sort of in his bag?
Could be. I mean, I think that the quarterback position is a little different. As a quarterback, you do have the authority to do X, Y, and Z, but simultaneously you have to build relationships. And an offensive lineman, and I covered Dominic in college. I was also in college at the same time, and he maybe the most no nonsense player they've ever had. along the offensive line. Just knew what he thought, knew what he wanted to say, and knew how to play nasty and knew how to play tough. Did all the things that you're supposed to do, and I think he was an offensive lineman, though. And that I'll be very honest with you. I think Dylan can do all the things that need to be done. Everybody can lead in their own way. I think he needs to be able to bring the running backs and the receivers and the tight ends along with him, because a lot of the old guys are gone now. Gabe Irvin's gone, and Thomas Fidoni's gone, and Jamal Banks and Nayor and others. And so, now he needs to be able to bring everybody and organize everybody. I would love to see more guys on the offensive line like his dad. I think that's where you need it. You need just some old school tough. And again, it's hard for me to say. You know it when you see it.
Yeah.
And there were times last year, like against Colorado, where they all had it. Ty Robinson had it every game. So you kind of know it when you see it, and you just have to see it game in and game out. And some teams like Ohio State can take a hiatus for a game, and they had, but they have such good players that they're able to kind of paper over that, well, we're not playing very well today, and Nebraska's kicking our butt, but we have Jeremiah Smith, and he will run by everyone, and we'll score a touchdown that way. Does Nebraska have a player or two like that? You'd love to, because that helps you to deal with the days when you don't have everything. But until Nebraska has a lot of those complements of players, you need to come out and just play with whatever. The thing that Ohio State had in the playoffs, once they decided, they got pissed off enough about losing to Michigan. What they did to Tennessee and Oregon are the two of the most impressive college football performances I've ever seen. What they did in the first halves of those games, and that's what urgency looks like when you combine it with great talent. Nebraska doesn't have as much talent, but if they have that kind of urgency, they'll have the season they want.
No doubt about it. Something to watch for right out of the gate here. Spring ball starts in a week. Sam, appreciate it as always. Enjoy the tournament this week. Do you have any big upset picks, by the way? Anything that you're sort of cooking up before we start things on Thursday?
I think it's going to be a wild weekend. Yeah. I think there's a lot of interesting seeding decisions in the SEC. A league that is a lot of dominoes tipped, right? When you're looking at metrics and only that, there's probably going to be a one or two SEC seed that just doesn't win, and they don't make it to the second weekend because they're probably not as good as their seed. So I think it's going to be a wild first weekend, and then I think you're going to get to the second weekend, and it's going to feel like some of the seedings should have been different, but I don't know. Colorado State as a 12 looks pretty good. That looks like an option. I'd watch High Point against Purdue. Purdue's prone to lose games. So, High Point against Purdue. And I'd look, Missouri may be in trouble in the first round too against Drake. That's a 6-11 game. Drake could win that game. So, those are some that I thought off the top of my head. I don't see any 3-14s or 2-15s. I will say that, but I would love to be wrong. I'd love to see a 14 beat a 3 or a 15 beat a 2.
All right, Sam. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. The team will be spread out all across the country to cover basketball. Josh?
They got a lot going on.
All for this bracket.
That bracket right there.
This one. Don't ask me why. I like to go to CBS Sports every year. This is the bracket that I like.
It's their tournament. It's their baby.
Right. You get the CBS. You get the logo on there. I wish that ad wasn't there at the top. Enter your bracket, win, and play for a trip today.
Yeah, it used to be more pure.
So I was looking at the Athletics bracket. The Athletics bracket, their printable bracket, has like a sponsor on it. It's like when you print it out, the sponsor gets the printout every time, which is a good call by them. Right? Let me go to
everything's an ad now, right?
Everything's an ad. But if the Athletics tell people, hey, people are going to print out this bracket on theathletic.com. And if you're E-Trade powered by Morgan Stanley, you can throw your logo right there in the middle, right next to the national champion. The people have their brackets printed out all across the country. All right, when we come back, we haven't talked much about the Mavs today, as they are off to their first NCAA tournament. Happy for Gary and all the fine folks at UNO.
It's NCAA tournament broadcaster Gary Sharp to you.
That is exactly right. Do you mind if we dance in your tournament?
That was a good line.
It was a great line. And we'll see if they can take it one step further on Thursday against Mr. I Want to Kill Myself.
Like I want to kill myself, jump in the cold and die of frostbite.
He hasn't been very, he didn't mention all weekend about how he wanted to kill himself. Interesting how that works.
He did say that he wanted to drink a quart of Jameson, though.
Yeah, that probably might do the job.
Just kind of leads all to like, okay, I think Rick Pitino is very sad.
Also, The Crown. And we do have to talk about the kid from Michigan who snorted the third base slide like cocaine. All to come on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. But first, it's a perfect time for me to bring up Censored 1620. You need to get on the action right now. Registration lasts until March 23rd. And then after this full weekend of games, of course, we'll have 16 teams left. And the 16 listeners, as selected by us here at 1620 The Zone, will be paired with those remaining teams. So you're paired up with one of the 16 teams remaining in the tournament. And the winner, if your team wins the championship, gets $1,620. $1,620 of money, Josh. Second place gets $500. Third and fourth place gets $100. It's really that easy. Head to 1620thezone.com/censored1620 right now to be part of this year's Censored 1620 with 1620 The Zone. Brett writes in via the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Hello, Brett.
At Equitable, we take banking personally. Did any of you see this on ESPN.com? I saw it 9:30 this morning. As of 12:45, it hasn't been corrected. A little blurb on the Creighton Blue Jays, who are apparently once again coached by Doug McDermott.
Oh, no. We're still doing that?
Yeah. It will never end. Who made the joke? Who made the joke of like one day, the big man, very, very far in the future, at his funeral, they'll be like, R.I.P. Doug.
Ladies and gentlemen, Doug McDermott.
So, no, he's still alive. Yeah. Just one of those things that will never, ever, ever go away. Never. That's okay. I guess. It's really not okay. But it's going to keep happening. So just get used to it, I suppose. The Omaha Mavericks, Josh, are headed to their first NCAA tournament. This is not the Division II tournament. This is not the whatever conference they were in at that level.
MIAA?
MIAA, yeah. This is not going to the conference tournament. No, this is going to the big dance. And they're going to Providence. The artist formerly known as the Dunk, I would assume.
Yeah.
Amica Mutual Pavilion.
Gotta be. Nobody calls it that.
Maybe they're like Omaha and they have multiple arenas. I don't know, Josh. Check it out. All right. Just to make sure. Gary would know, or maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he just hops on the bus.
Sometimes you gotta, find things yourself. Scroll all the way to the bottom. Amica Mutual Pavilion.
There you go. Amica Mutual Pavilion.
Disgusting.
Which will be hosting a 9:45 Eastern game, 9:45 p.m. local game on Thursday between the Omaha Mavericks and the St. John's Red Storm. What are the odds somebody around here gets a call from one of the New York media this week about the Mavericks?
I mean, Gary, right?
It'd be Gary, but do you think anybody will care? Do you think they'll be skipping ahead to Kansas or Arkansas? I mean, everybody's looking at that potential Calipari-Patino matchup. They're telling you that there's history
they're riding ahead, probably.
Don't.
I hope so.
Don't sleep on the Mavs.
So that way, the Mavs can jump up and get you.
Don't sleep on the Mavs. I do not love it. I think there were paths for UNO to win an NCAA tournament game. This one is difficult.
Yeah, this feels like a tough putt.
This one is difficult.
It doesn't feel as good as Michigan State or some of the other teams that they were matched up against.
How will the game get officiated?
That is a big part, right?
Yes. St. John's cannot be allowed to do the things they do. And now they're going to the big tournament, and you're not going to get the Big East.
It tightens up.
Tony Chiazza is not going to be anywhere. I don't know. Maybe Tony Chiazza does get invited to this game, or what was his name? Potter. Maybe he gets invited to this game. I don't know who the refs are yet, but St. John's cannot be allowed to play basketball the way they play basketball. It is abhorrent. There is a fight every time the ball is in the air. It is and sometimes even when the ball is being possessed by someone, there is a fight going on. There's jump balls being called at random times, it seems, but their whole bit is we're going to put up shots, and if we miss them, that's okay, because we are going to grab that freaking pumpkin. We're going to grab that ball, and I don't care if you're in the way, but we're grabbing it.
I just picture Rick Pitino. You go grab that pumpkin.
Grab that pumpkin right now. So they're absurd. It is an absurd basketball team. They have really good players. Don't get me wrong. Lewis was incredible on Saturday night. And they made shots, right? But if they're not making shots, things change.
Could Omaha get hot?
Things change, right? You're going to have to fight through that extreme. I would assume like the path here is offensively St. John's misses shots, which is a likely scenario. And defensively, if they're not all the way locked in, right? If they don't bring the edge and the intensity that we saw over the weekend or during conference play, get out to a nice little lead, be in the game at halftime or whatever it is, and then you kind of go from there. 1 4-minute segment at a time. But I don't know. They have been a trendy pick, St. John's has, to get bounced in the first weekend. We'll see. But if they are allowed to play as physical as they did at MSG on Saturday night, this has pain written all over it for the Mavericks. Don't put me on a hype video, please God. I do not put me on the hype video that says the Mavs are gonna lose in the first game, and then they win the first game, and then it's like
a montage
all the
of
podcasts
haters.
around the country who are like, the Mavs had no chance in this game. Just go get all your clips from the New York media.
Go to John Rothstein. Go to Fanta. Did not have them to
You
win.
got the Mavericks coming in. I don't even, what school is this? Omaha?
Who would a?
Omaha what? We just beat Creighton. What do we got on Omaha? Go get the clips from the podcast somewhere else. But what a great deal for the Mavs to be in the dance. A cool event last night. They had it at Mammal Hall, like a pretty well attended event as well. I heard about a pretty good meat and cheese tray.
Whoa, no way.
Yeah, pretty legit over there. And they showed them on the tournament, on the selection show last night, even though they were the last team in.
The very last
team. They did make a trash can reference.
Sure.
What's that guy's name? Zucker?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Right? It was him. And he was like, hide your trash cans. Here come the Mavs. Pretty cool.
They had that AEW championship belt front and center.
Yeah, speaking of that, tomorrow our guys, the Outrunners, will be here with us.
AKA the Nacho Spillers.
And we have a surprise for them.
We do.
They might have some surprises for us. Who knows? But we have a surprise for them. So stay tuned for that one tomorrow.
12:30?
12:30 tomorrow. How long is the segment? I don't know. It could be a long time. It could be a short time.
How long are any of our segments anymore?
We really only have one thing that we want to accomplish. And you'll get to see that tomorrow. We do have to talk about, so we've been very bracket heavy today. Obviously, we got a bracket in our hands. It's beautiful. And we briefly mentioned Nebraska baseball. They're 1-5. That is not the college baseball topic that I'm going to bring to the table. It is the kid from Michigan who slid into third base and snorted the third base line like it was a line of cocaine. I'm dead serious. This happened.
It's not Connor reading into anything. That is what he did.
That actually happened. We've seen all kinds of bat flips. We've seen guys throwing their bats to the moon. We've seen guys throw sawed-off bats at steroid users. We've seen it all over the years, but this is a new level. And it came from the college baseball ranks.
Quite the selly.
So, were you appalled by this, Josh? Were you saying, what about the children?
No, because I was so shocked that it happened.
But so Josh has never been a what about the children guy. In fact, he mocks the what about the children guy all the time.
I have a
but
child.
This is very close to the what about the children thing.
Now,
Daddy, what was he doing when he slid into third base? Could you explain this to me in great depth?
Michigan baseball, I do not see them discussing it.
They're not talking about it.
It doesn't appear so.
They're not celebrating it.
What day did it happen? Yesterday or
I
Saturday?
can't remember all the days.
Yeah, same here.
Blur into one for me at this point.
Not seeing a lot of, hey, look at how viral we went.
No. Which was more over the line? Fake snorting the third base chalk line like it's cocaine, or Jemiah Neal dunking at the end of the game.
Fake cocaine, right?
I think so. I think so. I don't even know what to do with this. It's amazing. It's frankly incredible. How has nobody done this before is a question that I have. And what will become of this for Michigan? How many people will start doing it now? How many people will be suspended by their respective conferences for doing this going forward? This has to be a trend starter, right? You're going to start seeing this all across baseball.
So
especially college baseball.
I know
they're going to be snorting the third base line
yeah.
at the Chuck box in 3 months, and there's not a damn thing you could do about it.
That toothpaste is out of the tube.
Yep.
Thanks to this gentleman. I don't know who the
I don't
manager
either.
for the Michigan baseball team is. He's going to get asked about this. I'm shocked I haven't seen a quote from him yet.
Oh, you don't know who it's Tracy Smith.
Tracy Morgan.
No, not Tracy Morgan. Although that would make more sense given the celebration antics.
Oh, here's a headline from Barstool Sports.
All right.
Michigan's Mitch Voit may have just changed the game of baseball forever with his chalk snort after hitting a triple.
I actually think that's correct.
Yeah, I think every time you see a kid make it to third base on a slide like that, they're going to do that.
Mitch Voit.
Yes.
All right, I got to get more information on this guy.
Number 55 on your roster at home.
Number 1 in our hearts.
Yeah.
Okay, Mitch is a junior infielder from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He went to Whitefish Bay High School in Milwaukee. It doesn't say in his bio that he snorted the third baseline like it was cocaine here, but...
Say anything about cocaine or drug use or...
Now it said tied career high with 4 RBIs and a 4-hit day in an 11-7 win over Michigan State on March 12th.
I understand you don't want to get your guy in trouble. You want to protect your players, but you have to have that guy pee in a cup after the game, right?
Mitchell Veblen Voit, born September 30th, 2004, enrolled at the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts at the University of Michigan. Has 2 brothers, Nathan and Joe. 1 sister, Gabriella, and the son of Todd and Sharon Voit. Why Michigan? Quote, it has the best mix of academics and baseball. So there's the full docs on that guy.
Does he, okay, Mitch Voit, does he have a Twitter? Did he tweet, did he screenshot a notes app?
I wonder
over the weekend?
I wonder if he's commented on this issue. They don't link to the social media profiles here in Michigan. Too good for that, obviously. Too good for that.
Got to go to people.
When you go on Mitch Voit in media, there's no references to the snorting of the third baseline like it was cocaine.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a screenshot of the notes app.
Did he do an apology?
He did. I will read it in full. I would like to apologize for my actions on third base yesterday. I made an immature decision in the heat of the moment. The gesture I made does not reflect my character, the household I was raised in, or the block M that I represent in any kind of way. I take full responsibility for what I did, and I am truly sorry to all those who I have negatively impacted by doing this.
Okay. That was basically the same apology that Jemiah did.
Yep.
Jemiah was like, yeah, I really shouldn't have done that. But
I said I had to apologize.
I don't think he was. I don't think he was probably thinking that.
Now his Twitter bio has his email address in it. Should I reach out and ask if he'd like to come on the show?
No. Nope. We'll leave this as it is. But it's just a great moment in our history. It is.
People will not forget.
We're back after this with the polls, and we'll tell you what to watch on 1620 The Zone. All right, to the polls at Happer Show on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Is the beach for lovers? Absolutely.
A little bit, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very romantic. Yeah. 67% say yes.
Long walks on the beach.
Is bacon infallible? Now,
no.
I know what the response is going to be. Yeah, bacon. I just saw the word bacon, so I had to write yes.
Bacon.
No. Bacon is infallible. Bacon is not infallible. Bacon is fallible. Very proud to announce that only 53% said yes.
Good job, audience.
Good result.
Proud of you.
Do you know what a Triton is? No, I did not.
Iowa Western's main rival is the Iowa Central Tritons, and
you still didn't know.
I really don't know.
59% say no.
It's okay. They don't know what a reaver is. It's fine.
Do you respect the mollusk?
Yeah.
51% say no. Have you ever been threatened by a mollusk? No.
Can't say that I have.
91% say no.
Wow.
And those are the polls today. Josh, what are we watching?
We are watching, well, it's kind of slim pickings out there in them streets tonight.
Yeah,
but
TV's taking the night off.
Yeah. NBA doubleheader on ESPN.
I bet The Bachelor's probably on or something like that.
Usually is, yeah. I didn't look at that specifically. The Heat are at Madison Square Garden to take on the New York Knickerbockers.
Madison Square Garden, I know that place.
That's right. Knicks probably haven't played a home game in a week. 6:30 on ESPN. It's followed immediately by the Denver Nuggets, who are at the Golden State Warriors tonight. 2 bracketology shows on the airwaves, 8-1 on ESPN at 8 o'clock, ESPN 2, at 8 o'clock, 1 on CBS Sports Network at 7 o'clock. 5 games tonight in the NHL, all of them on ESPN Plus. It is highlighted by the Kings at the Wild, 7 o'clock puck drop there. Both those teams in the playoffs right now. Connor, in the morning, baseball begins.
Nick's going to be all over this.
A regular season game for the Weebs. 5 a.m. tomorrow on Big Fox. It is the Tokyo Series, which is a Major League Baseball regular season game.
Yeah, it counts.
Between the Dodgers and the Cubs. No Mookie Betts. He has lost 15 pounds due to an illness in the last week or so.
It's already pretty skinny.
Yeah, that's something to watch for sure. The Best Picture winner at the Oscars this year, Honora, arrives on Hulu this evening when a young sex worker from Brooklyn impulsively marries a Russian billionaire. Her life takes an unexpected turn. And finally, tonight on Peacock, Connor, you can watch any of the 8 Leprechaun movies that are in existence. It's about a tiny little leprechaun who murders people for gold. They are all streaming on Peacock, including the 1992 original starring Jennifer Aniston and her original nose.
There's 8 movies called The Leprechaun?
Leprechaun 2, Leprechaun 3. They go to space for number 4.
Never have even heard of
There's 2 of them that take place, quote unquote, in the hood.
Did not know that existed.
Yeah.
Cool. I won't watch.
Okay.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That is that's what we're watching tonight. And that is the show. If you miss anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find all of it. The crossover is coming up next.